Good morning everyone and welcome to Safari Live. Welcome on this fantastic morning here in Djuma and Arathusa Game Reserves in the beautiful Sabi Sand, South Africa. Pete and I decided, we asked the other guys if it was okay, but we would like to do the whole day today, so the morning and afternoon drive, because we've been having every other morning off, but Pete and I are both going to do the morning drive and the evening drive today on our last day here on Safari Live before we hand over to two amazing guides, Mark Weiner and Scott Dyson, who are just incredible guys and going to carry this forward. Mark, incredibly experienced, been around on Wild Earth for a very, very long time, and knowledge is just incredible from that man. And Scott, what a breath of fresh air as well. Unbelievable guy, incredibly knowledgeable, enthusiastic, really great fun as well. So really looking forward to handing over to them. A bit of a weird day for me, particularly being the sort of new kid on the block in a way. Pete's done this for many years, and for me this has been one of the most incredible experiences, but I just wanted to do this morning so I could say sort of thank you and farewell and all that sort of thing in a sort of pretty relaxed way online this morning, and then we've got our last broadcast on Nat Geo Wild tonight. I've got Jason on board with me today this morning, which is fantastic, and just wanted to give you a little bit of an update firstly on what we're feeling here. It's 20 degrees Celsius, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's very, very cool. Fantastic morning for us, for predators particularly. We've got a very big focus on finding lots of things this morning, but of course leopard and any of the other predators. Pete at the moment has got a little bit of a problem with jigger. They're just fixing it at the moment. It's all very, very fixable, and they're on the job at the moment. So Pete will join me out here in about probably 20-30 minutes, and we'll do a handover to him to say good morning as well. And we're just going to basically drive around, listen to the radio, see what we can find. We looked at some tracks on the way in. They were hyena. We had a glance at them, and we're hoping to find leopard tracks this morning, but keeping our eyes open. It's Sunday morning here, beautiful, beautiful temperature, and we're really looking forward to getting out there. Yesterday afternoon, I just wanted to just maybe go back on what occurred yesterday, and that was finding those three rhino. Now, excuse me. It's been a very, very tricky situation there, but to not show rhino, or to show rhino, as many of you can imagine, the reason behind that, without going into too much detail. It was a very, very special moment for me on a personal level, because that is the animal that I came to Africa to see 22 years ago. So very, very special moment, and quite overwhelming. I didn't expect to feel what I felt when I saw them, and be able to show you those pictures. But at the same time, it was really important that for me and the team and everyone involved, that the reason behind it was very, very what's the word I'm looking for? Clear is the word. People need to see the magnificence of those animals and understand why we need to see them, why we need to talk about them, why we need to protect them, why we need to learn more about them, why we need to support all the fantastic organisations that are working tirelessly to protect rhino around the world. There's 3 species of rhino in Asia as well. There's the Javan rhino, Sumatran rhino, and the Nepalese or Greater Indian rhino as well. So those 3 species are in dire straits. And the black rhino and white rhino in Africa, really important to understand the situation there. Have a really good look into why the situation is occurring as well, and you can get a lot of information from really, really good non-government, non-profit organisations around the world that are doing incredible things to support that, as well as all the people in Africa and all the African people, you know, that live, breathe, drink rhino and work very, very hard to protect those animals. So it's a pretty crazy world if we can't show a rhino anymore on television. So we did, and I think it was the right thing to do, but I know some people may have questioned it, and I just want you to know that from me and from everyone else, we did it for a very, very special reason, and that was to highlight the plight of those incredible animals, and hopefully stimulate people to learn more about why the situation is what it is. I'll probably leave that there just because I could go on about it for some time. They're very close to my heart, and it was a great thing, incredible to see. Amazing behaviour too. That big male was definitely keen to offer his services to the female, but she wasn't having a part of it, and he had a little tantrum. He sort of laid on the road and laid on the dirt there and kicked around and squealed and carried on, which was quite incredible to watch. And there was another thing that the female did when she actually went to that very, very sort of stagnant pool that had the algal growth on it, and was chomping some sort of mud, and I've never seen that before, but maybe it was for mineral content, we just don't know. Anyway, it was great to spend that time with them, and thank you for all your support and your very kind words about that. But it was a real tricky one for me and for the team, but I'm glad we did it to show you those magnificent animals. Right, I think we should go. Jace?
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. Cubs. Or was wanting to have her cubs. She may have moved a little bit out of the area that she normally frequents, and it made sense. And we sort of talked around it about it on the fire recently. I think a couple of nights back, and his line may have put a little spanner in the works, or so to speak, or it made some of the other leopard feel a little bit uncomfortable, and made them to be able to sit around and take your questions, have a bit of chat around the fire. We'll definitely be doing that after close tonight. I can just see a little tail swinging. Well, it's not a little tail, it's rather a big tail. And it's our favourite boy. Hello, my boy. Hello, my boy. It's okay, buddy. Wow, this is a lovely way to start the morning. We left you last night. Hello, my boy. Just rolling down behind. Because I'm rolling, I'm talking a little bit more. Hello, my boy. Hello, my boy. Yes, hello, my boy. It's okay, mate. It's okay. This is our beautiful, our friend Madiba, and he left us last night. He hasn't moved much. He must have been just chowing his food all morning and around this area. He was great, wasn't he? Do you know what? I'm not going to follow him this morning. I just want to let him be and let him feed. We had a great moment with him last night, and let's maybe just let him be and have his breakfast this morning in his own time. But he was a great animal. He's given us some incredible experiences, been up very, very close and personal with us, and it just goes to show you that when you build some trust with an animal, they definitely are not fazed by us at all. He'll be hanging around this area, and we probably cross paths later on again, but he's only moved a couple of 100 metres, probably about 300-400 feet, 500 feet from where he was when we left him last night. So he's been around this area That's a nice way to start the day, folks, isn't it, hey? An elephant in about 11 minutes. We'll try and find some more elephant today. I'd love to see some more the breeding herds. I haven't seen that broken tusked female for quite some time, which is great. I mean, when I said it's great, it'd be great to see her. I mean, it'd be really lovely to see her. So for whatever time it is in the world for you, welcome and glad you're with us when we'll be handing over to Mark and Scott. I know you'll have a fantastic, and all the other rest of the team, all the Alex and Jason and Brian and VM, they're still going to be around. They're still going to be around. And if you've got any questions, please send us some questions. It's questions at WildEarthTV, or you can tweet us at #SafariLive. Just going to drive along through here slowly, folks. Watch that, Chase. Because we might lose a little bit of signal here just when I go down in this dip, but we'll see how we go. We should be okay. I'd really love Pete to find a leopard today. I think that'd just be what a beautiful send-off. Great. I'm just getting some feedback from Alex, who's directing this morning with Alex, two Alexes in the control room, and Scott and Mark are on location as well, giving a hand getting Jigger up and running. It's only a very small in-jigger, and those little injuries do occur when you're driving through the bush. So they've got it under control. Pete and Scott and Mark, they'll have Jigger out very. But Alex is just informing me that the signal's quite good here, so that's great. After this the last 7 weeks being here, my interpretation of the word signal has changed very greatly. I'm never going to listen to the word signal when someone says it in such a way that I used to. It's really everything for us out here. Speaking of which, I might just have a little choppy signal just down here in this dip. I'll come out the other side and we'll go. Get through this little dip here. control, can you just confirm the person's name one more time for me? Thank you so much. Just got a great question from VL Ewing on Twitter. Hi there, great to have you on board. Fantastic, whatever time it is for wherever you are in the world. Really great to have you. And your question is a great one. It's whether rhinos are ruminants, like giraffe, and then you actually asked like hippos. Well, interestingly enough, hippos aren't ruminants either. Giraffe are, definitely. But rhinos aren't, and also hippos aren't. But they don't have as an efficient digestive system as ruminants do. You can definitely tell that by when you look at their dung. If I find some, I'll show you. There's a lot of undigested plant material in the rhino and the hippo's dung, but you have a look at a ruminant like a giraffe or any of the antelope, and you'll see there's a very, very fine sort of powder-like substance where you can see that they've broken down that plant matter, that cellulose, that plant fibre very efficiently and gotten the most out of their food. And I just happened to have a ruminant I prepared earlier. Look at this down here. Beautiful giraffe. We've come across this bull once before, I think. Yeah, I think this is the bull that we saw yesterday, and there should be a couple of females around, and that baby, that calf. But this bull's a really, really lovely bull. He's very tolerant and very calm, and hey, my boy, and a beautiful specimen at that. Absolutely magnificent. Just going to leave the car running for a little bit. It's a good practice to just drive up, leave the car running, and it doesn't become too much of a sudden arrival. Fantastic. I just got word from Alex that Jigger, Pete's vehicle, has been fixed and is powering up right now and will be out on the road very, very shortly, so that's brilliant. But in the meantime, while we're waiting to say good morning to Pete, we've got this beautiful bull giraffe in perfect condition, and he actually could be ruminating right now. Isn't he magnificent? Beautiful markings, beautiful coat pattern. Just sitting on Twin Dams Road at the moment, heading towards Twin Dams, but I'm going to take a little turn off and go up and have a look at Treehouse Dam, because that's always a great place as well. But let's sit with this boy for a little bit. I can't see the females or that beautiful little calf, but this guy here is one fine animal. He's probably going to cross right in front of us now, and we'll just let him do that. Really important, folks, to immerse yourself in the philosophy, and I know so many of you know this anyway, but we're here to observe these animals in their environment and not to change their behavior. The whole goal is to try and get to a close distance to them, that we have a fantastic encounter. If they start to dictate the moves and come closer to us, then that's something that we have to observe and take into account and manage that risk if there is a risk. We believe that we try and put ourselves in positions that are not threatening to the animals, and if they want to come closer to us, then they can. And I think that is the key goal of the whole exercise, is to observe these animals behaving as naturally and as we can. And from what we know and all the research one can read, you try to learn as much as you can about animal behaviour and pick up the signs and the signals if they are not enjoying your company, so to speak. So at the moment, this boy looks like he's pretty unfazed by us sitting here. He's and it's quite obvious, you know. There's either a fight or a flight syndrome, that the animal will either show his or her displeasure by giving you signs and signals that to say, you look, you're too close, or they'll just run. And that's not, we don't want to be in either of those positions. Sometimes, you know, there's a couple of little instances where you will get individuals, for example, in an elephant herd, and you'll be sitting with the elephant herd, and as long as those matriarchs are, the matriarch and the rest of the herd are comfortable with your presence, the youngsters, the teenagers, they sometimes do a little sort of display, a little head throw at you and throw their weight around and just sort of do what they're going to do in their future life to protect each other, but there's nothing in it really. It's just them being a little bit rambunctious and just showing their teenage years, really. So, you know, there's a couple of little situations like that. Hippo will also do that in the water. You get youngsters that'll start to just display and do a few things like that, but there's nothing really in it. It's as long as the adults are happy in those situations, then you know you're doing the right thing. But the youngsters will just display a few times, and it's completely fine. But this animal in front of us is definitely ruminating at the moment. So he's actually regurgitated some partially digested plant matter, and he's chewing it over again. You can see that sort of bolus, or that lump of rumen in his mouth there that he's chewing over, and it's a definite grinding pattern of those molars at the back there, regrinding that food before he swallows it again. The really interesting thing is that bolus, or that plant matter that he's eaten there, then bypasses that chamber of the stomach that called the rumen, and goes into the next chamber. It's quite incredible. The ruminants have a several-chambered stomach, 4-chambered stomach, and that is a really efficient digestive system. But that rumen that they're chewing over now will bypass that first stomach and first section of the stomach and go into the next. But he's definitely a great looking animal, isn't he? Isn't that coat pattern just incredible? That's a beautiful shot, Jason, just to see that sort of contrast of the giraffe's pattern. Okay, I've got a question coming through. Fire away, Control. That's a great question. There's several people on Twitter and on email asking about how one identifies giraffe. There's definitely individual coat patterns, and that's the first way. And then you'll start to, when you get more familiar with individuals, you'll start to see that they've either got, you know, a mark on their horn or on their face, or on a tear on their ear or something like that. And, you know, you've got loads of different ways other than the coat pattern, but the coat pattern is the first and foremost, and they'll all be individual coat patterns, and you can just pick one marker. For me, on this one here, this bull, if we just go down, Jason, down, and we stop on the shoulder there, there's a little triangular, so just there, mate, there's a little like map of Africa. See that one, just sort of second mark up from the bottom of the screen there, little map of Africa. I get from him, and I pick that. I'm just going to try and put I don't know if I can put my little pointer up to show you. It's just Yeah, if you just come back, Jace, that's great and unfocused. I'll just put my little pointer to the mark I'm talking about. It's just, okay, Jace, that's good. It's that mark just there. You can see, looks like a little map of Africa. Right there. And that's the marker that I would use on this individual. And if we come up against another giraffe, we'll show you that it hasn't got that particular mark. So for me, and you know, that depends if I can see the left-hand side of the animal. So sometimes a neck marking is good as well, because you always can see the front of the neck, so underneath. But I've noticed that little Africa map on this bull several times. He's really, really stunning, isn't he? He's a great-looking animal, and I know I've probably said it many, many times, but that neck gets up to 2 meters or about 7 feet long, believe it or not. They are one of those animals that you look at anywhere in the world. You look from anywhere in the world into Africa and just have to sort of think to yourself, yes, nature has really designed quite an extraordinary creature here that has carved out a beautiful niche, and it exploits a vegetation band or an area of the flora that not many other animals can exploit other than elephants. And they've really got a great little pocket or niche there that they can survive on. Predominantly browsers. I have seen giraffe reach down in times of drought and pick up a bit of grass because there wasn't any other vegetation, or not a great deal of vegetation around. But they 99.9% browsers, and you wouldn't hardly ever see them bending down to do that. If you do, you might be seeing them bend down to eat a tender young shoot of a particular species that they do find very, very palatable. And I do need to get past you, my friend. So I want you to either make a decision. We've got a great question from Dina in Michigan. And Dina, welcome aboard. Great to have you, and thanks so much for joining us. Look at those horns just sticking out the top there. I'm just going to pull up a little bit closer to see him. Dina in Michigan, welcome to you, and I'm sure it's a little bit cooler than 20 degrees where you are at the moment, or in the late 60s Fahrenheit. But I hope you're warm and rugged up, and thanks so much for watching. Hello, my boy. Just get Jason a better picture. How do giraffes sleep, Dina? It's a great question, and I get that asked often. Giraffes sleep for short periods standing up, 15 to 20 minute periods they get during the day, but they will lie down also when times are safe and there's enough sets of eyes around. The youngsters spend a lot more time lying down than the adults actually do, but I've seen this bull lying down in the last month, and they will get naps as well when they're lying down. They won't lie down flat, put their heads and necks down, of course. They just sit down and they'll still have their head and neck upright. So that's exactly what they do. Giraffes are still being studied widely across Africa. There's a fantastic organisation that I support hugely called the Giraffe Conservation Foundation, run by a very, very good man and his wife and team, Dr. Julian Fennessy, who I'd probably say is one of the world's experts on giraffe. And you can have a look at their website online. It's a beautiful website. It's got loads of information about giraffe, and it gives you a really good insight into giraffe and what is going on with giraffe in Africa. Giraffe are really widespread across Africa, but there's pockets of giraffe populations that are in decline, and there's populations that are seriously threatened. But you can have a look also about the different sort of subspecies or ecotypes that occur in different parts of Africa. Very, very different markings. from sub-Saharan Africa all the way down to where we are in South Africa here. And but they do sleep for short periods standing up, Dina, and they will lie down as well. And you will see the calves lying down with their heads and necks turned right around on their bodies, resting on their backs, with their mums or another member of their very loose herd looking. Oh, he's going to have a little browse now. Little food. We might just watch him do that because he's finished ruminating. I'm just going to pull up here and give Jason a nice shot here. Just have a quick look before we move on. You know what I'm like with giraffes, folks. I love giraffes, and I really can spend a lot of time sitting banging on about them and talking about them because I worked with them for a long time in captivity, and I've always found them fascinating. And I think they're when you've got great questions coming through like you're all sending, it's a great opportunity to talk about the just not the obvious, you know. We've all talked about how long the tongue is and all those sorts of things, but there's some interesting facts that we don't normally get onto with giraffes. So really great questions. Talking about that tongue, we may as well just touch on it. The tongue gets up to about 45 centimetres, or about 18 inches long, and they use that tongue. It's a prehensile tongue, and it's used for browsing, exactly what the animal's doing right now. You might see it come out of the head, and we can just watch that for a few minutes now. I've got a question coming through, so I'll just listen to Alex and see what he's got for me. Have you got a couple of names there, Control, that I can refer to just to people that are asking the questions? I just got this. No problem. Just a couple, Control, just so I can mention them. I've just got a great question come through from Alex. He said a few people have asked this question, so I just want to get a couple of names. Obviously, there's several people, and the question is, how can I sort of give you an indication of how tall that giraffe is? Well, I'll get some names from Alex right now, and I might stop mid-flight in my answer to you here, but I'm 180 centimetres, 181 centimetres, okay, which is about just under 5 foot 11 and a half inches or something. I stand tall. I would probably come up to the front of that giraffe's chest. So let me just, Jason, if you can just zoom in and just go to the shoulder there, and you'll just see, and I'll get you a spot, just the back of the top of the leg. You'll see, just go to the front of the animal, and just, he might move and turn around a little bit now for us. He's just going to move back. So see where there's a thing just underneath the animal called a pedestal. Jennifer, Mark, Steve and Dina have asked this question, so thanks guys. Thank you, Control. I just wanted to say hi to those people. There's a really great question, how to proportionately look at the giraffe. And Dina, Mark, Steve and everyone else that's asked that question. So just where, you can see just underneath the chest there's a little sort of dark area, Jason, if you can just zoom in please, mate. Dark area there. And that's like, it's like the breastplate or the chest plate there, just underneath where the animal will lie down, and that will rest on the ground. So it's just at the top of the screen now. I would come up to about there. Just my chin would probably come up to about there. So that's about sort of 6-ish foot, 5.5, 6 foot just there. And then if you go up again, the body width from that pedestal to the shoulder is probably about another 3 foot. So we're going up to about 9 feet there. And then you've got that neck going up to about 7 feet. So you're going up to about 16 feet, or about 5.5 meters. Just over 5 meters. And then you've got the size of the head as well, which is probably another foot, and those horns, so probably about another 18 inches there. So you're probably looking at about 17 feet with this giraffe, I would say. Yeah, about that, which is in meters if you're in a metric part of the world watching this morning, or tonight, wherever you are timing-wise. That works out to be just under 6 meters, so about 5.5 meters this animal would be. He's a beautiful, beautiful individual. He's got really, really great markings and colour and vigour and vitality to him. He looks healthy, and he's definitely trailing around those females, because I think one of those females is coming into estrus, but we can't see the females at the moment. He probably can over the tops of these trees, but we can't. Well, that's great. We might let him be. What a lovely, lovely encounter that was. And brilliant questions, guys. It's so nice to hear good, and you always send great questions. It's just a couple of good ones that we don't always answer, you know, about how can we proportionately look at the height. How do they sleep? Great stuff. There's so much about giraffe that you can learn, and I really do recommend, obviously he's a great friend, but I highly recommend the organisation to learn more about giraffes, the Giraffe Conservation Foundation, and it's definitely a wonderful website, a wonderful organisation to support if you're into giraffes. And tell them that I see you. If you do email them, tell them that Hayden sent you, and it's a great way to have a little contact there with them. But there's some great science that they're doing all over Africa, and very, very dedicated organisation. Right, what is next on our little breakfast run here through these wonderful reserves? Djuma and Arathusa here in beautiful Sabi Sands on my last day. Feels a bit strange. It does feel a bit strange, but I'm really looking forward to going home and seeing the beautiful wife and son, who do nearly every day. See, with the technology that we have on the planet these days, wow, who would have thought that you could talk to your wife and son and see their faces and talk pretty much every day. It is a really great help for Pete and I, and everyone that's away from families on this project that travels abroad. How lucky we are to do that. It does the connection. It makes your time away from home a lot easier. So let's have a little trundle up to Treehouse, see what we can find there. Absolutely, thank you. Just got up and running, and I really wanted to say good morning today to Pete, particularly last morning, but we haven't both been out on a drive in the morning for about a couple of weeks now since Scott arrived and took the heat off us, because we were doing every morning and every night for about 4 weeks. So Pete, Scott's been incredible and an amazing guy, as I said, and you're in the hands of a an incredible team, Scott and Mark, with our handover today. And I'm going to be watching from London every day that I can to watch those two fantastic guys take you on these journeys as well. So let's hand over to Pete, say good morning to him. I'll come back to you if I find something interesting, but we'll see you just now.
Well, good morning everyone, and as always, warm welcome here to South Africa, and to Djuma Game Reserve here in Sabi Sands. Pleasure to have you with us, and I'll be very honest, it's a pleasure to be on the morning drive. It's been great getting a few sleeps in every now and again the last few days, but I've always loved the morning drives. I think it's a great time, and nice to have in the vehicle with us. This morning we've got Alex. Sorry Alex, I'm surprising you there. I didn't... They're just doing a checks there. Alex, aka lots of names, brilliant guy, literally brilliant guy. He looks after a lot of the zeros and ones that we need to get out into the world there. And some of you might know Alex, or many of you will know Alex from the past. We were actually just talking about Herman Gerber as well, a good mutual friend of ours. So Alex, really nice to be on the vehicle with you. I do love it when different crew members come out on the vehicle. In fact, one of the people, and I haven't managed this time, so hopefully next time I can. I really want to get Graham Wallington on that seat as well. Alex, you must help me with that sometime. Otherwise, beautiful morning, nice and fresh. I've almost put a jacket on once or twice, and then sort of just in between. HT has already showed you around. Giraffe, elephant. I'm hoping that we can find Madiba again. He's my new favorite elephant around here. And yeah, just looking forward to a great morning. Quick shout out and a quick thanks to Mark and to Scott. They put a quick and great effort in this morning early to get the steering rod fixed on Giga. Thank you very much, Mark. As I said this morning as well, lucky to have you back here. And Scott is out there tracking, looking around as well. So the team's out and about. A couple of them still taking a nap this morning. Alex back in control. And everyone's just getting ready for the big last drive this afternoon. And from myself, Peter Pretorius, I just want to say thanks for being here. And let's look around. That's strange weather, and you get that. I mean, you get it in other parts of the world as well, but it's a very low felt thing. If I stop now, it's warm, but when I move, it's cold, just because you've got all this moisture in the air. The actual temperature is not that cold, but it's the movement of the air sort of over your skin. And sorry, they just shot sand over me. Yes, so it's that sort of funny weather where it's not hot, it's not cold, sort of there's both depending on what you do. It's also not our last day, obviously there's many more days to find leopard in, but it's our last drive this afternoon. I hope that's rain and not a bird. I think it's rain. When you get wet in your face suddenly, it's always better if it's rain than a bird flying over. It's our last drive this afternoon, going onto TV in North America. So obviously we're all excited about that. Not because it's the last drive, but you know, last drives, first drives, last drives, you know, anything in between, there's always things to get excited about. At the same time, I'm going to be very honest with you, and that's one of the reasons, one of my new reasons why I love the morning drives, is it's been such an amazing journey. I've seen that with so many messages from you guys on Facebook and the tweets and the emails. Going back to the first days where there were 80 seats in this vehicle, only 80 seats, 80. And if you missed the click, you were off, and if you caught the click, you were on. And I know many of you have commented on that. And went from 80, I think at one stage, 200, and then it grew a little bit from that. And it's just been such an incredible, incredible journey, to the point where suddenly we've been on National Geographic and Nat Geo Wild, and experiencing these things. So it's just nice to drive with you guys and to be able to chat, and it feels a little bit freer when we're just doing this, because that's a big thing for me, just to be free and have fun with this. Ooh, which Ellie is this? This is not Madiba. Nice Ellie though. Gave us a good head shake when we stopped here. He's busy eating a little bit of marula bark there. Just go a little bit forward. Alex, I see there's another one up ahead. He's a little bit more in the open. So yeah, just a great big thank you to everyone that's on the vehicle, to everyone that's going to join us in future, but this morning specifically to all of you that's been part of this for so long. So thank you for that. It's meant so much to have old friends. Looks like he broke part of that tusk long time ago. You can see it's not been an issue for many, many years, but also eating marula at the moment, so they're all enjoying the marula bark, one of these trees that very soon will be very important in their diet here around end of January, February. So you'll actually see it towards the end of the live drives, end of January. The marula berries or the marula fruits are ripening, and all the animals love it. Anything from squirrels to elephants and in between. But for that time of the year, you'll see the elephant dung. It just looks like a mixture of marula berries or marula fruits and a bit of grass and a bit of, just a bit of fiber in between to keep it together kind of thing. So they love, love, love those fruits. Excuse me. It's quite funny what he's doing. I don't think he's going to push this tree over now. I hope not. It's a nice tree. I think he's just resting his head while he's chewing that stick. But that is a marula tree, and you'll see in season when the fruits are ripe, they will often do that, put the trunk and the mouth up against the tree and then shake the whole tree, and you just have these fruits raining down. I want to keep driving a little bit. These ellies, just the way they're feeding, the way they're moving, they look like they'll be around for a couple of hours. So we will spend time with them later in the morning. I know Madiba is also around here somewhere. I think HT saw him earlier, so we'll look around for him as well. But I want to use this first part of the drive, what's it now, 10 to 7. It's not that hot yet, it's nice and early. Just to look around, because there's one thing I hope to see before I go, and I hope to share with you before I go. It is a leopard. Any leopard really, not going to be too particular, but certainly Karula, one of the boys, would be great. But firstly, let's say hello to this guy. I like him. Hey Madiba. Look now, you see this is day 3 that we're with him, or day 4, and already he almost walked over to us before we could come to him. I like this elephant. Hey, big guy. Eating a bit of sickle bush there, which is a plant, funny enough, that us as humans can chew the leaves for heartburn. It's got a very sort of alkaline, a very base type, what do you call it, substance, composition. And my favorite story to tell about sickle bush is the Latin name for it. And the Latin name for it is Landrovius flatarius, because they give Land Rovers lots of flat tires sometimes. I'm not really that much into the Latin names for things. It is actually Dicrostachys macronata, but Dicrostachys macronata is just such a big word for a tree called a sickle bush. But if new guides can remember Landrovius flatarius, they might save themselves a few little efforts and exercises of changing tires. Let's go closer to him. Okay, big guy. We'll see you in a bit. He's got a very lush tail. He's got a... In the world of elephants, you know, the other elephants would comment on the fact that he's got a very nice tail. Look at that. Lots of long hair in it. You get lots of elephants that have got almost no hair left on the tail. So Madiba. What a name for an elephant, though, huh? Such a great name for an elephant. Sorry, Alex, say again. Yeah, awesome. Hello, Kathy. Kathy lives in Liberty. I love some of the town names in the States. There was one the other day. I mean, Liberty is a really cool name. There was one the other day. I can't remember it now. I'll see if my mind finds it. But some really cool names for towns in America. And Kathy's just asking, is it true that elephants have got more muscles in their trunks than humans have in their body? Oh, Kathy, yes. It's always been a funny thing for me. I mean, but I've read, and I've read many books over years about elephant and non-elephant, and also spoken with lots of people that understand elephant and so on. But they say between 60 and 90,000 muscles. But now, you know, what is a muscle? You know, like, you know, I've got a bicep muscle, and I was lucky enough years ago to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger's also got a bicep muscle, but now, do those count as the same? Are they both one? You know what I mean? Like, muscle for me is a very relative term to count. But they say that between 60 and 90,000, now imagine almost like a string or a column of a muscle. So between 60 and 90,000 columns of muscle in the trunk. I don't know how many people have in their bodies. And again, like I said, you know, is a bicep muscle one, or is it made up of many strands of muscle? So I think it depends a little bit on how you count it. But what is very true is that elephants' trunks are extremely well developed in terms of muscle movement and muscle behavior or muscle ability. They are extremely dexterous, turn and twist and move in any way. They can pick up an elephant. Oh, there's some of these stats I forgot over the years. If I remember correctly, I stand to be corrected on this, but they can pick up hundreds of kilograms. I'm trying to remember now. For some reason I thought it was over a ton, but somewhere in the equivalent region weight-wise of this vehicle. So they can pick something up extremely heavy. I've seen them push over massive trees that, you know, you as a human could do nothing with, even with a big truck. So it's the ability to move weight, but keep in mind also, and this is the interesting part, is they're very strong, and they can apply things like leverage and movement and momentum. And that's also, you know, there's a lot in that. So the trunk's an amazing tool. So from moving heavy things and pushing over trees to picking up the tiniest little thing, small berries, or, you know, tiny little things with the tip of the trunk. So it's an incredible tool, I guess, if you want to call it that. You know what I mean? So yes, definitely true. How you count the muscles though, you know, I've read about it. I don't really understand how exactly they do that. But the application of the trunk and the understanding of what elephants can do with it is it's quite spectacular what you can do with a big trunk. If you have the big body, you know, and if you have a counter balance and counter weight and counter strength to it, which they obviously do. I'm going to look around a little bit. Before we went out this morning, there was a hyena calling somewhere in this area, sort of to the north of Boyatella, so we're going to take these back tracks a little bit. Just the usual suspects for the morning tracking here. Some hippo tracks. We're close to the dam, so they use this road often to walk up and down at night. But I'm going to check a few sort of random spots this morning. The spot I'm going to go to now was the first place. Go in here. The first place I ever saw Mishon and Duna. Karula's cubs, the second litter, 2 boys, also 2 males, the same as now with Quarantine and Djuma. Mishon and Duna means chief or king. Mishon means sunrise or dawn. And this is the first place I ever saw the cubs. I just want to speak to HT quickly, he's talking in the radio. Standing by, HT. Yeah, HT, I copy you 5-5. I think HT sometimes forgets that volume. Okay, standing by. This was the first, sorry, the Alex thing gets confusing, guys, because this morning we have Alex the Russian behind the camera and Alex the Yorkshireman. How do you say people that are from York in control? So Alex in control room. Do you mind just telling HT that I am copying him? Maybe he's not hearing me. He can just maybe crank the volume a bit on his side. But this is the first place. Oh, I see. The intricacies of radio communication. I thought he was calling me on the Game Drive channel. Guys, this is the tree that I first saw those cubs at. And it was magic. They were climbing up and down the trunk where there's sort of that knobbly bit in the beginning of the trunk, and I'll never forget that. I was seeing little cubs. They were about, oh guys, please remind me or help me remember, those of you that were on drive that day. Some of you have got much better memories than I am, or I have, and some of you even have the hard drive memory of it, which is fantastic. I just love things coming out. I saw a video yesterday that, and I'm so sorry that I forget some of the names off the top of my head, but one of my friends that I've had for years on Facebook posted the first drive, the first Wild Earth drive, and that cut to me sort of a little bit before we actually went out, and it was the whole getting ready and going out, and I just love seeing that, you know, things that in real-time memory we sometimes forget, and this is quite interesting because we can share a collective memory and a copy of it if you want. So yeah, it's magic when you guys help me remember and remind me of things that we shared. And seeing Karula and the 2 boys here, no, it was awesome. Anyway, the boys, the girls, I'm sure it must have been Mission and Duna. I think Soseka and Tingana, now Tandi and Shadow, I think they were only the other time. That's the strange thing with memory, how we remember things and what they were is not always exactly the same. But I have looked at this jackalberry tree many, many times driving past it, thinking back to my first young leopard or baby leopard sighting. Magic stuff. HT, you copy? I don't know. I must say, I will be over the moon. If for the last drive this morning or this afternoon, I wouldn't be particular as to which one. We could find Karula and maybe see her cubs. It'll be amazing to see a fifth litter, even if it's just a glimpse. Alex, just ask Aiden to call me on the Game Drive channel, please, then we can talk like we would normally on Game Drive. Sorry guys, Alex just letting me know. He's just trying to chat to me, but I think he just needs to crank his volume a bit and we'll be fine. Hey, sorry, I thought the road is just here somewhere, but I found myself in the thick bush. HD, how's it going? H, at the moment I'm just got myself stuck in a bit of bush here, but I'm busy finding the road. And I'm just behind Void.
Do so excellent. All right, I'm going to just keep scratching around the other side here, and our paths may cross, but I just want to double check what you're up to, mate. Good luck, buddy, and hopefully we'll see each other this morning sometime. Okay folks, so I just had a bit of a chat with Pete to find out what his plan was for this morning, because we didn't have a lot of chance to chat once we had to do that little bit of work on Jigger, and we really want to maximise our time to try and find, particularly Karula, of course. That's like the trophy. When I say that, I mean that's like winning the cup, you know. It's like for us to be going out on our last day seeing Karula, particularly for Pete, it would be an astounding achievement. And it's not about achievement, I suppose. What I'm trying to say is that it just would be like the icing on the cake to see Karula, and particularly for Pete on a personal level. I really want that for him. I just drove off the road there because there was a couple of impala here doing some very, very interesting alarm calling just down in this area, but it's very, very thick bush. We've had a bit of a look down inside there. Can't quite see anything, can't quite see any tracks or anything down there. I thought we did see leopard tracks down there, but we lost them pretty quickly. But the most important thing is that I think if we've got the impala just up here, they would have taken off by now, or they would still be alarm calling if it was a leopard. So we'll just keep our eyes open there. There's a tiny little mist, a fine mist of rain starting. I don't think it's heavy, I don't think it's a disaster. It could be like this on and off all day, but we've just got to keep our eye on it, and that's why we need to stick close to the control centre if we have to run for cover, we can do that quite easily from where we are now. Pete was in some pretty heavy bush there, and I know that he's going to get back to signal very shortly. Just had to jump across to me because we lost signal. We've got some lovely zebra and wildebeest just here, which would be nice to see. There was nothing at Treehouse Dam, by the way. It was looked beautiful, but not a great deal of action going on there. So I'm just going to just pull up just here so we don't disturb these guys, because they're having a lovely little graze through this area. We've got wildebeest and zebra grazing together, which is quite common to see these two species do cohabitate these different areas, and you see them often, and you see them in massive herds, obviously up in the great migrations in East Africa in the Serengeti and Masai Mara, but down here we've got, it's still a great cohabitation of areas, and they do often hang out together. More sets of eyes again, of course, and we've got a lot of youngsters over there. If you just have a look, Jace, over on the behind that zebra on the left hand side of your screen, there's some little wildebeest calves there that are definitely got some size on them, and that zebra's just walked in front. Oh, there's a little one there. But wow, they've put on some size and strength in the last couple of weeks. We've seen some incredible things here in our time, and you're going to see many more incredible things over the coming month and a half. But we saw some births of wildebeest, 4 in total, I think, and that was quite an incredible thing to see, and to be broadcasting live to everyone that's watching. What a wonderful thing to see, and a great humbling experience to see a little life come onto the planet. They're walking towards us at the moment, which is quite nice. Once the wildebeest start to walk, it's really interesting. If you were to look at the dynamics in the herd, they move off together. Once the wildebeest start walking, you'll see the zebras will as well. Just have a look at Okay, so Pete, I just got some word from control that Pete's got a little bit of rain there, so he's running for cover at the moment. We don't seem to feel it where we are at the moment, but there could be a potential that he's copped it first and it's coming to us. I might have to get ourselves to a little bit of safer cover as well, so please bear with us, guys. I just want to finish off talking about these beautiful creatures in front of us. And there was an individual that's got a lovely set of markings on the hindquarters. I think it's this one just here, Jason, behind this vegetation. Going to walk out of that vegetation in a second. Some lovely unusual markings just on the hindquarters of that young, just behind that female there. This one that's just poking its head out now. Have a look at these markings if you can. There's a big stripy thing in front that you can't really see through. If that individual moves, you see those lovely markings on the hindquarters there. So it spots down that middle of that shadow stripe. Can you go in a bit closer, Jace? Have a look at those spots going down. Isn't that beautiful? That shadow stripe there, second up from the... Oh, that's really nice. You don't... I mean, you do see some unusual markings on zebra, but not always. But I love those spots on that shadow stripe. So there you go. That's one of the individual markings that I would use to remember an individual. And you may come across that animal again sometime in the future, all grown up. Look at these calves, they're so comfortable now. Just stop here for a second, it's just too nice to drive past. You can't drive past. These little calves are all got their, some of them have got remnants of their umbilical cord still hanging down, like that individual just just to the back of Jace, a little bit to the right, you've got a couple of them that have got little remnants of their umbilical cord still hanging down. So they're very young, only about a week and a half, 2 weeks, but they're getting their strength, they're building their muscle, they're getting great nutrition from their mums, and they're going to grow into beautiful looking wildebeest. Zebras are just, this one here, just to my right, Jason, and my side, it's a bit of a swing round gently. He's moving off now. He was just standing right there. He's gone around us, but they're all starting to move off now. We might let them be. But lovely to sit with them for a little bit. Look at all those calves hanging out there. Jace, I'm sorry to swing you around like a... Really beautiful colour about them. What a nice little herd. So zebras and wildebeest coexisting in the same area, which is quite common, hanging out together. I think we have got a little bit of rain coming, so we are going to make our way back as well. Got a couple of spots on the lens now, so bear with us, folks. We've got the camera cover there, Jace. I just want to pop that over. Just going to pop our camera cover over, folks. It's going to be a little bit of messing around, but whilst Jason's doing that, I'm just wiping the lens, folks, so please excuse me, I do apologise, but it's getting a little bit misty and a little bit rainy. What we're going to do is come back to a bit of I'm just helping Jason here now get this cover over, folks, so please excuse us. It's a bit tricky to get on. I can help you here. There we go. Is that alright? So the top microphone is not going to be working as well as it normally is, so I'll just keep facing this way. We might get a couple of spots on the lens, but please bear with us. I'm just going to dive for cover. This misty rain is going to affect us wherever we go. So I think it's not heavy rain, but if we do see something along the way, we could probably stop and talk about them, as long as the wind is not pushing the rain in, and the driving is the thing that is making it a little bit difficult. What we will do is cross to Pete, because he's going to be undercover sooner than I am, and then he can take over and we can clean this camera lens up for you. Just want to do that again because it is a bit difficult to see. Sorry about this, folks. Just let me wipe this lens for you. But it's all happening. Okay, so Pete's just setting up now. I might just sit here and wait until, because it's not that bad. I'm not struggling with it at all. It's no worries at all. It's quite refreshing. But at least the camera's covered, and if I drive, the mist actually just hits the lens. So it might be a little bit streaky on that lens at the moment. Please let me do this again. That's a bit better. It's raw, it's real. This is what happens out in the bush, and this is what happens when you broadcast live from the African bush. And you're with us all the way, and that's what's a great thing. I love that, and all the little bumps and kinks and hiccups that you see is how it happens, and how it happens real. So this is probably a good time to just have a quick chat while we're waiting for Pete to take over, and then we can make... See, it's interesting, it's stopped now. I think we should keep driving. I'll have a quick chat and we'll keep driving. Your support has been incredible. Your support and your very, very kind words to both Peter and I and all the team has been fantastic. On a personal level for me, I can't thank you enough for taking me into the Wild Earth family, and in association with National Geographic Wild, this has been a bit of a dream come true for me. So, you know, we'll talk more about that later on tonight, but I just wanted to get that in with you now and talk that, just tell you how wonderful it is to be taken into the family, and it'll stay with me forever. So it's a really incredible opportunity to try and get across to you how my heartfelt thanks to everyone that's been so kind and supported through you know, Facebook and Twitter and all the different means of social media. And I really want to stay in contact with everyone, and you know, by not tomorrow, but probably tomorrow or the day after, we're going to upload loads of photos. I'm going to personally load of my photos and stories and things onto Facebook and Twitter and things like that. But it'd be really lovely to keep in contact with so many of you wonderful people that have said so many kind things. So I just wanted to get that in now, because tonight is probably going to be a little bit more hectic, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to do the morning drive as well, to say thank you and farewell to many of the online people that may either not watch it on Nat Geo Wild or might not have access to it on Nat Geo Wild, which that also does happen. So the online access is also very, very special, and people that do watch it online, we wanted to make sure that we said our farewells and thanks to you this morning, hence why we're doing this drive. The rain has stopped. I'm going to continue driving. I'm not running for cover. Oh no, 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 no. I'm not going to let a little bit of mist like that scare us, Jason, folks. Oh no, no. We've got animals to find. We are going across to Pete, but I'm just going to have a little talk with Control quickly. Control, do you copy? Okay, mate, I can do that. I just wanted to give you a heads up. It's not that bad out here. I think we should probably endure a little more of a drive and see what happens. If Pete's under cover, we can always cross the Pete and we can just cover up if it gets any worse. But Jason's got the rain cover on, and it's not bad as long as we just keep the lens clean from mist. We're just going to carry on, okay? Absolutely, I'm sure there's been loads of questions for Pete this morning. Alright guys, that's great, fantastic. I'll do a link now. Okay guys, what we're going to do before we carry on and just have a little bit more of a look around, Pete's in a dry space, which is a great thing for us to be able to chop and change between the cameras, and that means that if it does get a little bit heavier, we do get rain on the lens, we can just cross to Pete, and you can stay with Pete and talk to him, and we'll go for cover as well. But at the moment it's not too bad, so I'm going to just tootle around a bit further up here, have a look around. We'll cross to Pete, we'll see you just now.
Hello everyone, sorry, I just saw a big bird flying there. It looks like a Djuma, African harrier hawk there in the distance. And yes, it's not raining. It's one of those things that's, you know, you get this in the Lowveld sometimes. You get this, it's like a heavy mist or a drizzle almost, and you could probably see it in HD's camera. You get a little bit of just that sort of droplets on the camera. Not ideal for what we want to do. And we're going to, yeah, we're quite in the dark here, Alex. I'm going to move shortly. Guys, I'm going to not draw this out too much. We're thinking of a few questions. If there are a few questions, guys, please shoot away. I'll answer them. But what I really want to do, and I'm sure you won't mind, in fact I know many of you won't, I've kept, over the last 6 weeks, I've kept photographs on my camera sort of some of the nice pictures that I had and some of the nice memories, and I'm going to show you those. So I'm not going to beat around the bush too long. It's quite dark where I'm standing. It is not great for me, but it is great for looking at pictures. Sorry, I've just got to bring my my leash, as I like to call it, my sound wires along. Let's get into the seat. All right, give me a second. So basically this is just some pictures, some memories, some moments over the last while of what we've been doing here. And I think if I set it up like that, there's some guinea fowl alarm calling. It's a great place. This is where we'll be sitting, the bush tent, the space that we're sitting here. And just look at how beautiful that is as a view. Let's look at that. You've got the big trees, marula trees, horizon in the distance. That's our log next to the fire. We're going to have a campfire chat tonight after the game drive. Please join us for that. I just love this area. It's such a beautiful place. I'd love to come camp out here and come sleep out here for a few nights at some stage. We'll see what the future may bring. All right, let me show you a few pictures. Just have to get this view right. Alex, how's that? Shouldn't have too many issues with reflections. So those were not good pictures. So let me go right back to the beginning. In fact, that's the easier way to do it. It's like this. Okay. That's actually our view. I'm quite glad I took that picture. I remember this one for the future. So this is where we're sitting now. This is right at this moment at the bush tent. Is that as close as we can get, huh? Let me see if I can get you a little bit. Let's just try this. Sorry guys, we haven't really rehearsed this. If I get it there, maybe that might be slightly better. How's that? Just get it a little bit bigger. How's that? That looks better. All right, cool. So this is going back to, actually the first few pictures, funny enough, are ones that weren't seen live. So they are of something that that I saw while on game drive with Joost Danhauser, one of the landowners here, fantastic guy, very passionate about the leopard. And he helped me to see Thandi, which is the daughter of Karula. And I picked this specific picture to keep because I really loved her eyes. The pupils you don't actually see. It was early morning. This was just after sunrise. I always say I love the mornings, and this is one of the reasons. You get this crazy light, and I just love the way she looked in this. So this is Thandi, what we used to call Saseka. She's the female cub, or the second female in Karula's litter. And that was a beautiful morning. We saw cubs as well. Unfortunately, I've got another flashcard here. I finished the first flashcard before I went to this one, and that's why I've got the pictures I got of the cubs are in the other card. I'll show you quickly if there's time. That's her as well. Early morning, just liked seeing her. That's yours. Yours, thank you very much. If you are maybe joining at some stage, those of you friends on Facebook, give him a shout out. It was so great that he took me around to see some of the wildlife. This is the only shots I've got on here of the cub. Look at that little face. 3 months old, 2 cubs, and they were playing up and down the tree there. That's Thandi's cub. So in other words, Karula's granddaughter and Safari's great-great-granddaughter. That's Texan. We've named him, mentioned him a few times. He's the head ranger at Voitela. He's been a great help and a great friend of mine for many years, but he's been a great help to us for this this experience as well. So thanks, Texan. Thanks, Amos. That's Texan's tracker. Great guy as well. I've known Amos for many, many years. That was one morning at that same morning as the leopard. We saw this beautiful view of. Hey, come on, Peter, don't break the camera. There we go. Sorry, guys, I'm wedging it on the steering wheel here for a better view. I think that should work. All right, so these were the Nkuhuma lions, but in one of my favorite places, Torchwood, which is where Bernie and Neil and them are from, which is the neighboring area. They've got this beautiful place called First Rock, and this is the Nkuhuma pride with the Matimba male. So that's the Nkuhumas and Matimba, or the one Matimba male. That's him again, beautiful male. Let's look at that. That's the force that the Birminghams will be up against at some stage. I just love this view. This is up on First Rock. Going for a drink there. That's the Matimba male. Just look at that backdrop. You can see all the way there in the background, all the way back through to the Mala Mala Koppies. If you look there behind the lion, stunning male though. There in the distance you can see a little outcrop, all the way back into the sort of center and southern parts of Sabi Sands. There's Texan again, happy guy. Hey Tex, great guy Texan. More of the Nkuhumas. I want to show you this one picture of the Matimba male quickly. Look at that. Beautiful big male lion. Awesome to see him. Guys, I'm just going to quickly finish these couple of shots and then I want to go look around again. Baby impalas, I always say I love the baby impalas. Running around you one morning. That's actually, if you look very carefully in the background there, you'll see it looks like a laser light. That's actually the tent that we're sitting under right at this moment, at the bush tent. HT and VM, little Ndapandula, the young hyena. There's Scott. Scott's out tracking at the moment as well, looking around for us. Been great fun. Scott and Brian there on, which vehicle is this? This is the Jigga they were on. Love these little vehicles. We talk about them so often. Great cars and fantastic things to get around on. I like this shot. This is probably one of my favorite shots, or my early shots of Scott. He's a great guy to photograph. He's very comfortable with the camera, as you guys know, and we had some good shots with him. This was those lions early evening. It's actually in the headlights of the car. This was just one or two views from around Manyeleti. We went for a little game drive with VM and myself. That was not far from where we stay in Manyeleti. This is when we were driving one day. It was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the way to work, so to speak. And that was Tingana, the other big male leopard. Guys, I think the drizzle is stopped for now, so it might be worth a while to go look around a bit more. There's Jason, loving him being on the camera. He's always happy out there. He's with HT at the moment on the vehicle. That's the old young Jason. Nice elephant sighting, baboon pan. This was when we were going for a game drive one morning. Not going to go into these too long. That's VM. That's up in Manyeleti as well. Graham Wallington, the visionary behind all of this. That was 3 minutes before live, guys. I'm going to quickly show you these pictures because this was literally 3 minutes before we went live for the first broadcast to TV, and we found Djuma, which I hope we can do for the last drive as well to TV. Just chilling up in the tree looking at us. It was one of the spots that I'll never forget in my life. It was just such a cool moment. I always talk about that first moment when you realize there's a leopard chilling out in the tree in front of you. Loved that. And that was VM. He was on the vehicle with me on the day. And that was the campfire chat. This is exactly where we're sitting now. We are sitting at this moment. We are sitting just there under that. And that's where we will be again tonight for the campfire chat. And this was Djuma up in the tree. Just before I came over to campfire chat, we were sitting under the tree in the Land Rover, and HT was already by the fire. Scott and Jason, HT and VM, and Giraffe. HT loves Giraffe, so that was quite cool. This is in the buffalo kill, like this. This is the lion in the background, all the flies that were eating on it. This was the second drive. Brian very happy to be filming lions all around us. Just playing around with a couple of pictures. Oh, and this was it. Guys, I think for now let's move on. There's HT again. So that evening after the drive, some of the gate staff driving around. This is one thing we haven't showed you enough of, unfortunately, because we're always on it. These are the game drive vehicles. Fantastic fun driving them in the bush. Alright, I think for now That's Scott having some fun. We'll show you still all of those. Cool. Let's go look around. See what we can find out there. Guys, if it rains again, we're going to come back here. I'm going to show you some more of the memories that I photographed in the last while. But for now, we can leave the bush tent. I love this space. Just look at that. Just this little sanctuary from the rain out in the middle of a beautiful area. Let's get my turn right here. Let's go look around. It's fun to be out here, isn't it? Good place to be. Okay, just give me a second. Just rewire myself. Oh, great, thank you, Alex. Guys, and thank you as well. Glad you appreciated that. And if there is time, which there might not be, but if there is time again, I actually want to change my flashcards, and the card that I started on, it's really nice as well, because I took a bunch of crew photographs, all the different guys, and it's so nice to have seen the growth as a team in the last 6 weeks, and you can see it on everyone. I mean, we all we've all gotten brown in the time we've been here. We've all got a bit of a tan now, and we all know each other now. So now when I photograph people, you get real laughs in their eyes, and they don't look at you anymore like, who's the stranger that I'm going to spend time with? And that really is what this is about. This what we're doing right here, what we're doing right now, is getting to know each other and getting comfortable with each other and getting into a space that we can just have fun together. And it's great when you can see that in the progression of photographs. You know, I mentioned earlier, I was looking at that that video that was posted, the first drive, and even just I look at myself in the time since then. Just, you know, you grow comfortable with each other. You get to know that we can actually trust each other, because this is a very, very, very real environment. More real than it might sound bizarre, but this for me is sometimes more real than just meeting people on a direct basis, because the memory of it is real. Maybe that's the point. So I actually just realized that. Thank you. I just realized that. You know, along the way, those last 6 weeks, I've realized certain things. You come to realizations about certain things that helps you understand what you're doing. One of the things was, I used to always say that what I do is I represent what we're looking at. We're looking at beautiful nature. What are you looking for, Alex? Would that help? You know what, let's do this for you, because I want to drive a little bit. We'll go back to the bush tent. I'll show you some more pictures if need be. But you know what? I want to give you my hat, because I know that that'll help. So we're going to do that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to dry it first. Let me help you. It's actually easier for me, Alex. Let's practice, and I'll do this. This is a very interesting space for me. Very, very interesting. You have no idea what I've learned about myself and about people looking into that. So, let's get you comfy. I'm going to put the hat on there for you. And this hat is helping you for the rain, not for the sun in this case. Alex, nient. I have a plan. Just get the... It was good. There we go. It's all about just keeping the rain from falling in there. How's that? I think that works. You guys, you don't mind wearing my hat, do you? I'm sure you don't. Let's get a little bit more tape on there. Because all we need to do is just stop those raindrops from falling into the lens. When we're driving, that's what happens. So, guys, if you don't mind a bit of the hat view, I'll go hatless if it keeps your eyes dry. And the realization I came to was that, and this is long ago now, this is going back some years, is that in many ways I just represent what I see. I mean, I can't, this is beautiful, this environment around us is spectacular. And, there we go, that's a bit better maybe. Yeah, that's cool. And I can just represent it. I can just tell you that, look at that amazing tree, look at how the light's falling there, look at how the leopard's jumping or the elephant's swimming. And I can just help to highlight a few things. And in terms of behavior, because I've spent a lot of time getting to understand wildlife behavior, I could highlight some of the behavior that you could see it. And at the same time, I can represent a human being in this space and show you that you don't have to worry about things eating you and jumping on you and scaring you. You can actually get into a place where you are as comfortable with this environment as Karula the leopard would be, as elephant walking along would be, or as a bird flying along would be. You're just part of this environment. We are totally present in it. That's quite funny. That just takes me to the next point, which I realized only a week ago. I realized a week or two ago that all I have to do here is just be present. And this is really cool because it means I don't have to think anymore. I can just be here. And that's been an incredible journey. And that brings me to what I just realized back there when we drove out of the bush tent on our way down to go see what we might find. And what I said, when I said it, I thought you might think it's odd because I thought it was odd when I said it. But as I said, I don't think about this much anymore. I'm just going along with what happens. And that is that sometimes this space where I'm sitting right now with you feels in some ways more real to me than just talking to people general day to day. And I don't mean that, you know, I'm so excited to go home to see my family, you know, Leishan and my kids, you know, there's something about family that, you know, nothing is better than that. There's nothing like family. You can say that. There's nothing like family. But when we deal with people on a day-to-day basis, just people that come and go in your life, it can sometimes be a little bit sort of just on the surface and things just go on and, you know, you can just brush it aside. If it doesn't work, if it works, doesn't matter. But this space, apart from that, you know, it is very real for me in so many ways. It is also remembered properly. And that's what maybe makes it more real. You know, I was thinking about that earlier, talking about gorilla and the cubs. And suddenly, you know, I wasn't 100% sure if it was Mishon and Duna or whether it was Saseka and Tingana. Now, it must have been Mishon and Duna because I knew them since they were very young. So I could logically figure it out. But in memory, I remember the experience I had there. I don't remember the leopard I saw. I remember the experience I had with people that were with me, with the animal we experienced, and the emotional attachment to that memory. And what we're doing here has got perfect memory because this is all recorded to some extent or another. Like going back to the first drive, like and guys, you should have a look at it because it's a fun piece of video that I watched again the other day for the first time in many years. And it was so bad when I can't remember everyone's name. Molly, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong. If I am, I really apologize. Recorded it. Many of you did. I know Claire M, for instance, you would have a great recording of it as well, and Karen and all you guys. The first walk we ever did. Herman Gerber, I mentioned him earlier, good friend of Alex. Oh, I must tell you guys, Alex on camera, it's Alex the Russian. Alex Voss, as we call him, not Alexander Schletten the Viking. I would love it if Alex the Viking can join us. Alex the Viking, Alex the Russian, you know. That's a team. I just interrupted myself there. I love it when I do that. But the point is that we can remember these things together and we can remember them exactly. What was my point? I had a lot of points there. You know what I mean. It's good to do this. And it's very, very good for me, and thank you very much for just listening, to sometimes talk about this wider than just that's an elephant or that's a rhino or that's a leopard, because I love those things, but there's so much more going on here. I'm experiencing personally so many more things. We are sharing so much more here than just wildlife. We're sharing memories, we're sharing emotions, we're sharing feelings, and that is very interesting. It's raining. Even too much for the hat, I think. We're going to quickly go past this elephant, and then we're going to go up there to the little bush tent, and then we're going to put that over the camera. Alex, if you find the lens should be cool, we can keep it rolling until we get there. Sorry, guy. Okay, sorry, Madiba. We just want to go home. We're getting rained on. I'm not going to hassle you. Let's pull that over the camera all the way. Yeah, Alex, just wrap it around. Like, take it like this. Guys, I'm going to show you. I'm going to dress you up actually. I've got a raincoat for you. It works like this, Alex. Give me a second. Alright. The lens is fine. No, pull this. Yeah, but the lens is fine. It is actually waterproof. So we do that, and we zip it up. And the camera is good to go. Now. Alright, now you've got a raincoat on and a hat on. And guys, I'm going to take a photograph of this just now so you can see what. Because we're going to keep rolling here. Okay, let me do a quick picture for you here. Alex, can we see you there behind, please? Cool. Go ahead. Alrighty. Let's go sit with my Madiba a bit. This is that soft rain again, and guys, we've got the camera dressed up now. I'll show you the picture later with a hat and a raincoat, and it works. So we don't have to run, we can sit here. Luckily, Alex the Russian and myself, we are waterproof. And we have an elephant friend to sit with. Morning, mister. Guys, but I was just busy thanking you earlier for this incredible journey and for this chance maybe this morning, because it's a bit more relaxed in the morning, to just say thank you for going along on it with me. Thank you for allowing me just to be myself. It's very powerful that, to share that, to be able to talk about it. Don't have to pretend anything. And just share who we are, what we are in this beautiful environment called the African bush. And it is really starting to rain now, so I think, Mr. Elephant, Madiba, we'll see you later. Yes, we're going to go to the bush tent straight away. Alex in control, where's HT at the moment, do you know? Okay, copy. The camera's all covered. Switch off. No, we're on this though. We stay here. Yeah, if you want to. Is Hayden getting rained on, or is he still dry, Alex? Okay, don't worry. We're going to be in the bush tent in about 30 seconds, so we'll be fine. The camera is dry, the rest of it is cool, there's no concern really. Hold on a second, guys, I'm going to do some driving. We're going to stay out here this morning in the bush. So that's what we do. Hold on, almost there. Alright, thanks Alex. At the bush tent. Sorry, your hat was all over your eyes there. Okay. Oh, it felt good actually. Alrighty, let's start by getting this dry. Guys, I'm sort of in your face quite a bit this morning, if you don't mind. Alright guys, well, we're under the tent. I think I'm going to show you a few more pictures in a bit, but for now you're going to go join HT. He's still not in the big rain, so enjoy it, and we'll see you back here in a short while, I'm sure.
Okay folks, well it seems that we're very close to each other, Pete and I, at the moment, as the crow flies, so to speak, or distance by going straight across land, but we don't seem to be getting the misty rain that Pete's getting there, so it must be very, very localized right where Pete is. We've got our rain cover on, and we're going to just dodge it as well. I say that now, but it'll probably hit us in about 60 seconds as well, and we'll have to duck for cover, which I can sort of feel it now. Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. So I think what we're going to do is try and stay safe here. I'm just going to head up. I'm just looking down at a map here to see if I can take any shortcuts to get. This road's got a little bit, it's a bit corrugated, so you'll get a few bumps on the camera. I do apologise. We'll take a right into here and we'll head down, just try and get a little bit closer to home. It doesn't seem to be too bad. The reason why I want to stay out is I just want to maximise our time. Obviously, if Pete's in an area that he's getting rain, he's got to get under cover. The cars come first and foremost. But I really want to try and help him find a leopard today. You know, it's important. Everything's important. All the animals are important. But it would just be a dream if Pete finds a leopard today. We've got a little bit of mist and rain coming down now. A little bit harder. I can see it on the screen. Just going to see if Pete's set up. Control to copy. Maybe we can cross to Pete if he's ready, mate, because this mist is getting quite hard. It's completely fine. It's just that as we drive, it blows onto the lens. It's quite hard for people to watch. Okay, guys, we're going to cross to Pete, and we're just going to run for cover. Okay, so we'll see you just now.
Well guys, welcome back here again. I thought you'd be back in a second. This rain was coming from sort of northeast, which means it was heading towards HT. Lovely view there actually. That's looking, where are we looking now? That's looking almost east. Look a little bit to the left there, those two termite mounds, or it looks like the humps of a camel. I wish I brought my coffee kettle. We've got enough time for a coffee. Look at that lovely view. Those termite mounds, you see the one, actually both of them, but the one tip you can easily see is much darker than the rest of it. And it's because it's raining the last day or two, and this moisture is getting the termites more active. They're busy building again, expanding what they've got. I want to show you one quick picture from what we took just now. What is going on? Oh, my batteries are flat. Sorry guys, this is very typical. But that's very easily fixed because I have more batteries. So if you have some questions regarding anything really, maybe one or two of you, I know many of you are very keen photographers, so if you have any photographic questions maybe, welcome to fire those in as well. Maybe I can tell you one or two things about photography. Not that I know that much. I'm a very keen amateur photographer, always have been. Have fun with it. It's always been my prerogative with it. It's been especially good since it became digital. Back in the early days when I was learning about photography, it was all film, which can get quite expensive, you know, in the process of learning. Alright, here we go. So this is where we are again, at the bush tent. Actually, let's do, there we go. Okay, sorry Alex. Bush tent, I'll get that steady for you. Alex is going to go give me a slap behind the head just now. He's like, come on Peter, get it steady. This is what you look like just now, sitting in the vehicle. I actually like this picture better. So Alex behind the camera, we had a raincoat on you, a hat on you. And there's something in that picture that I really like. On game drive in the rain. This is also quite cool. Sorry guys, I'm just not quite finding my space here yet. Let's just, there we go, that's better. That's Alex Vos. How do you say his surname, Alex? Wozniacki. Wozniacki. Alexei Wozniacki. Is that alright? Alex Wozniacki. I love the sound of Russian accent and the Russian language, actually, the beautiful language to listen to. Alright, so that gets us back to Tundi, but I think, let me, oh, the rain is coming. I'm going to get my other flashcard out. Guys, just going to change that quickly. Alex, I'll just go a little wider, just to, I'm going to show you some of the early pictures. And I've kept this, funny enough, for a rainy day. And it's funny that it's today. So, I'm going to show you some of the early pictures. Guys, and I take pictures of everything as I go along. I mean, from landscapes to people to wildlife. I enjoy people a lot, actually. You get some really interesting things when you photograph people. So I photographed a lot of people around here as well. So you might see some random pictures. But I have gone through this a bit, so it won't be too random. Just so you know. These are, let's start with, okay, that's the end. Let's start with the end and then I'm going to start at the beginning. This is Tundi's cubs. Ah, Alex, wait. Let me get this reflection. I need to get this there. We've got that block. Hello. I can see you there. Can you see that? I can look right into the lens from there. That's really... anyway. Here we go. Okay. Stop playing around. What's going on here? Sorry guys, my camera thinks it should take a photograph because I've got it in a funny position. Alright. There we go. I think I've got it down finally. That is Tundi's young cub. They don't have names yet, I think. Although the guys mentioned names the other day, I forgot what they were. But I've only seen them on non-live drive. This was with a friend of mine that took me around Jos Danhauser and quite a view. This is actually a picture I shot off the wall in Graham Wallington's house just before I came down here, the day before we came to Sabi Sands, of Mvula the leopard. It's a present I gave him years ago when Mvula was just becoming dominant in this area. So this is Mvula the dominant leopard now, the father of Djuma and the father of Quarantine. This picture was shot about 5 years ago when he was just becoming a dominant male in this area. That's the hyenas down at the first den site right in the beginning. There's little Ndapandula. Quite interesting how much he's grown since then. That was Quarantine, the brother to Djuma. We haven't seen him in the last week, but we've seen him a few times on the other drives, and I do hope we get to see him again. He's a beautiful leopard. A little bit darker in color than his brother. This was one of HD's first drives, and great just to get this opportunity to take a really cool photo of him and Quarantine. I actually like this picture a lot. The vehicle, the leopard walking there, everything is quite a nice setting. Alright, then this is a picture I took of Karula, which maybe it's not a great picture, but I like this image a lot. So she was busy hunting, really paying attention to Nyala's not far from her while ignoring us altogether. Or not ignoring us, not minding us in any way, I guess is the better way to describe it. That's her again, Karula. Beautiful girl. I'll show you quickly how we can recognize her when you get the opportunity to see her. Hopefully today. She's got this beautiful wow on the front of her forehead. If you look very carefully, you'll see there, starting on that side, there's the W, there's the O, and there's another W. Wow. Love this picture. This is of quarantine when he was busy, not hunting, but sort of casual hunting. That's William the tracker in the background. Aubrey was sitting just there. You can't see Aubrey now, but he's the guide. Works with Texan at Voyatella. Same leopard. Quarantine. This is quite late. You can see the size of the pupils. Now guys, for you taking photography, take a beanbag on safari, or don't travel with a beanbag, they're heavy. What I just do is I take the bag with, and when I get close to where I'm going, I just stop at a shop and I buy a couple of bags of beans, and I chuck it in the bag. So that's a good way to travel. Don't have to carry the weight. Just take the bag, and I literally just take old bank bags or something, nice cotton bags that don't make a lot of noise, and just buy yourself something. The reason I'm saying this is, look at the top here. If you look at the top left of my screen, there's a screen cover over this, which covers, luckily, the brand of the camera, but also a little bit of the info. But there, if you look there, this was shot at 1/20th of a second at 5.6 f-stop. Now that's really slow. You could never ever do that freehand, but you can get this kind of image, and it's crisp. Look at him. Look at his face. There you can see his markings, you can see his whiskers. He was sitting nice and still, obviously. But this shot at 1/20th of a second without a beanbag would have been impossible. So do yourself a favor when you go on safari, take cameras with, take pictures, it's fun. But take yourself a beanbag, because it's going to maybe get you that one shot that you would not otherwise have missed. Just because it gives you something steady, and you can put it down anywhere. You can wedge it into the corner of the vehicle. Nice big Ellie Tusker. Like seeing this guy. We've seen him once or twice since. This is the same guy. This I really liked. Tiny little calf. It's one of the smallest elephants I've seen in quite some time. So beautiful view up at Arathusa, close to Safari Lodge at the airstrip there. There we saw the rhinos yesterday with HT. Wild dogs. We had a spectacular wild dog experience. This was the night before. Again, look at the shutter speed off a beanbag, 1/40th of a second. Really slow. Alex, you can go. If you have something for me, let me know. I see Alex wants to tell me something from control. Wild dogs. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Janine from Washington State, just asking. Kenwick is the town she's from. Hello, Janine. And Janine's just asking the three basic explanations. Janine, unfortunately, I can't do this for too long, as I know. In your question, you even said, please, just a brief explanation. Let's get the screen a bit clean. But I'll give you a quick explanation. And actually, if we stay on this, I'll show you on the screen just now as well. But the three things, and that's actually the three components that make up your photography that Janine's asking about, is ISO, f-stop, and shutter speed. Shutter speed is how quickly that shutter moves. Alex, can you show us the shutter on this camera quickly? We're doing it just now. Look at this. No, not the shutter. Sorry, the shutter in the front, the actual closing. That's the lens cover. So there's a cover in the front, and it opens and closes. Now this has an explanation. Exactly. There we go. It's like blinking. It's like blinking. You see. And at the back of it, where you've got the lens, behind the lens you've got a sensor. Essentially, the shutter is just, in this case, a SLR, a single reflex, single lens reflex, I think. I forgot what it stands for. You've got a mirror that opens and closes. So I'm looking through the viewfinder, looking at the picture on the mirror, looking at what's coming through the lens. Single lens reflex. Yes, thank you, Alex. And you're looking off the mirror, and then when it opens and it closes, and it allows light in to hit the sensor to create the exposure. In the old days, it used to be on film. Now it's on a digital sensor. So it's got to do with how quickly that opens and closes. So a shutter speed of 1/20th, that leopard I was talking about, that would have opened and closed 1/20th of a second, which sounds fast. But keep in mind, guys, we're dealing here with light and movement. It's very, very slow, 1/20th of a second. A great shutter speed. What was yours saying the other day? The professional guys recommend that you go, I think, ideally for a crisp picture. So in other words, if you want to freeze that moment, you should go 3 times your focal length. In other words, if you're shooting with a 200mm zoom lens, one of the greatest lenses, by the way, 70-200 2.8 lens is fantastic if you have one. If you're shooting on a 200 focal length, which is your zoom if you want, your extension on the lens, you want to shoot at about a 600th of a second to ensure that it's frozen. That's obviously a great guideline if the light is there, but most of the conditions, and I found some of my favorite photographs have been taken in low light. So you've got to do the most with what's available. So your shutter speed is how quickly that opens and closes. Your ISO is how sensitive that sensor, or in the old days film, would be to the light. Now, the more sensitive it is to the light, the less detail you get. So it's almost like the pixelation can become more. It's not pixelation really, it's more like grey noise, but I'm not going into that too much. In the days of film, you were stuck with what you had. So I shot a lot of Valvia 50 or Provia 100, which is the film we used in that stage. It was the sort of choice for wildlife photography, really nice. Valvia was really rich in color. Provia was really good quality. But that means you sat at 50 or 100 ISO, and that was it. You couldn't change with it. You could then in processing do it, but that's a long... Thank goodness for digital. Let's just leave it at that. On digital now, you can just set your ISO. So you can make your sensor more and more relatively sensitive to the light. The higher your ISO goes, guys, I'm going to wrap this up because for those of you not in photography, it's boring. So your ISO you can change digitally, and the higher the ISO, the more sensitive to light, but the grayer, or not grey, but the grey noise, that sort of noise you get in the picture becomes more. Your shutter speed, the faster it is, the more frozen the picture, the longer it is, the more light you let in. And the third one is your f-stop, and that's the opening of the lens, how big or closed the lens is. And that means it gives you more depth of field. So a high f-stop, like let's say 11 or 13 or something, gives you much more depth of field. So if I'm photographing this tree or this corner of the tent, those trees will also be in focus. At a low f-stop, 5.6, 4.5, if you're lucky enough to have the nice lenses 2.8, you get that great sort of shallow depth of field where the background is blown out. So those are the three things, the three components you have. Okay, let's look at a couple more pictures. And I'll talk about those aspects as well as we go along. So this, for instance, was shot after dark, almost at a 40th of a second if you look there, at f-stop 5.6. Running around, and that's at 1/25th. That was the next morning, actually, when we saw these dogs again. But because they were running so fast, we had enough light. I love doing this. It's like that Impala shot earlier. I love slow shutter speeds because you get great movement in the shot. Your background starts blurring, and you really get that sense of play from the animals. This was that same morning. They went down to the waterhole and had a drink. There were some elephants drinking at the waterhole while the pups were coming for a drink. The adults were playing there in the background. You can see there as well. Just jumping around and playing. It was a great morning. There he was chasing a bird along the edge of the water. I just took this picture to show you. Just now we're going to talk about the wild dog kill. We were parked just there by the tree. That's where we were actually parked when it all happened. They took the impala out of the water just down there. I'll actually show you like this, you can see better. So that's where we were parked, just that side of the tree. Actually, our car was just there, and the wild dogs took that impala out on the side, just to give you perspective of where we were relative to what happened. That's old Ephraim. That is Mvula, a little bit heavier now than in the earlier picture that I shot 5 years ago. And that was on the drive. The Jiga had vehicle problems, so I was on the vehicle with Jiga. It was a fantastic experience to be together on the game drive, and it so happened that it was a great morning. Those of you that were there live would obviously remember this. We saw the wild dog first. He was digging for a porcupine call, actually. There was a porcupine call, which is very difficult to see, but it was just down there. If you really look closely on a computer screen, if I blow this picture up, you can see it. So digging in there for a porcupine, no success. Went up to the cut line. Bernie was there. I mentioned him earlier. The pups were sort of going to have a look at the game drive vehicle. I love that picture, actually. All having a look, all six of them. All six of the youngsters just having a look at the game drive vehicle. There they are. And then we left, H and myself. We wanted to go back to the waterhole just to see if we couldn't maybe find Mvula again, because he was in that area. And when we got back to the waterhole, there was great action happening. This is the alpha female. If you look very carefully, you can see this is, again, it's a bit of a slow shutter, 125th, so there's a bit of movement in the picture. You can see that scar there behind the shoulder. That's healed by now. You can also just see the mammary glands pointing out there around the hair that got wet. She'd obviously been in the water, and we spotted something in the water. And at first we thought it was Nyala, because we'd seen Nyala there earlier. There's the wild dog, ready for action. But once we were there, we realized, wait, it's an impala. And they kept this impala in the water for long enough that they got it exhausted. One on this side, the alpha female, the other adults on the other side, and they just kept chasing it around. There's the impala now. Until it got really tired. And when it got tired, the female ran off. Let me just show you again here. These dogs really put a magnificent, intelligent, planned, strategic effort into keeping this impala in the water and getting it tired. Never giving it a chance to get out. And of course, all this movement really got the impala to be exhausted eventually. As soon as they realized that the impala was exhausted, the alpha female left. That's where she was standing looking. This is one of my favorite pictures of this trip, actually. She was just looking at this impala and she was gauging it. You could see them thinking through this. That was so amazing. HD commented on it quite a number of times. They were really, thinking about this. They weren't just stupid animals running around looking for food. They were planning it to the point where the impala got tired enough, the female left, and we speculated on it. We even said maybe she's gone to fetch the pups. This was the other one on the other side. By this stage, I think the female had just left. The alpha female had already gone to somewhere. We didn't know where. We were like, where is she? And we said, maybe that's it. And the next thing, she came back, and there's the picture. That's HD in the foreground, looking at it, having an amazing time, guys. Keep in mind, this was in the early days, so for HD, the whole concept of live was still part of the learning curve, and brilliant to experience for me, being alongside him, seeing that process as well. And she went to fetch the pups. There they are, 6 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all 6 adults, all 6 puppies, and there's the alpha female. There's a game drive vehicle in the background there as well. She fetched them because she wanted them to come and learn. Literally, that was the reason. Brought them along. There they're all standing on the side. This is where the impala came out. There's the youngsters all standing around knowing what's going on, but still very excited. They're puppies. They're about 4 months old, as we heard from the guys that study them. And there they are, like this one, the back puppy there. Blaze or Lightning, I don't know, we don't have a name for him. Retilo. Retilo is the Shanghai name for Lightning. He's got these blazes in his tail there, if you see there. So that's the youngsters, and then it all happened. I'm going to go through this quite quickly, guys, because it was a bit upsetting for some of you. If you are very sensitive, maybe just don't look for the next minute or two. It was a live wild dog hunt. I think maybe the first one ever, and it was extremely visceral, extremely real, right there in our faces. I was going to say in our hearts and in our throats as well. So if you're going to be upset about this, please don't look. But if you were there or if you didn't see it, I didn't keep too many pictures, actually. I just kept some of the highlights because I thought I might show you. So I didn't want to get it too graphic. But the female got very tired eventually. And wanted to come out, get out of the water. And this is what was happening. Guys, and I think I'm going to try not to say too much for the next few images because it was maybe for those of you that didn't see it, I should talk through some of it. But it was an incredible experience. Really getting down to the primal beat of life. Life and death, food, survival, all those things. Keep in mind, these dogs were very excited as well because they knew they were going to get food. They were going to give their puppies food. They were going to eat themselves. This is the alpha female. She's got that half moon out of the ear. Oh, guys, you know what? That was the last picture I kept. I took the other ones off because the next ones were very, very raw. And maybe I didn't want to show you on this and surprise you with it unplanned. So maybe that's better because they took that impala out. They caught her and they caught the lamb as well. And it was an amazing experience. And I think you might see more of that down the line. So that's her, the alpha female, brilliant wild dog. I would love to see her again. This is just one of those panning shots I talk about. Great when you can to get the light in the eye. Obviously that depends on the angle of what things are happening like. This is a kudu female, the antelope, if you don't know what it is. That was just messing around, Brian and myself, a couple of self-portraits. And we decided we'll change roles a little bit. I like being on camera, meaning sitting behind it. I've always enjoyed having your eyes in my hands to show you around as well. So maybe down the line we'll play with that again. That is in the Jiga. That's Isaac one day coming to help us when we needed a bit of help on the vehicle. Yes, Alex? Both Alexes. Yes, Alex? Okay, cool. Perfect. Guys, just a little bit of an update for you. Hayden is sitting under the gate cover towards the east of here. There's a big thatch roof there where a few people are living. So he's got some cover or shelter from the rain. He's going to stay there for now. It looks like it might be thinning out there. If it does, he's going to get out there and take you around. And there's not that many questions. Guys, if you have questions, please feel free to shoot at them. If it's about one of the pictures, feel free to ask. I can just go back to it quite quickly. It's very simple to do. It's nice to answer questions, but in the meantime also, I hope you're enjoying the views of the last 6 weeks. This was Tingana when he had that amazing zebra kill up on Impala Plains. That's Ryan, actually. Those of you that talk to Ryan on the internet sometimes, he's the head ranger at Arathusa Lodge. Great guy, he's been very helpful to us. And yeah, just all around nice guy. Ryan, hey, what's going on there? There we go, sorry. That's Craig, you've heard me talk to him on the radio quite a few times. He's from Cheetah Plains, super nice guy as well. That's back at the leopard. Those were both photographed. Sorry, every time I turn this lens, I have to keep it very steady. It switches itself to camera again. This was all at that sighting of Tingana, so the guys had big smiles on their faces. That's Tingana on the zebra carcass. Big male leopard. He's the dominant male towards the west of us, really. That's Roy. One of the guys, I've known him also for, I don't know, 7 years, 5 years, something like that. Great guy. He's busy explaining things to his guests. Those two all guys. Roy also from Arathusa Lodge. And this was just brilliant. The light was... the light was amazing. It was actually sort of sunset already. I'm just going to cover my camera here. The rain is picking up. Guys, all the portrait shots I'm just going to skip for now because to turn it is quite difficult, but oh, yeah, that was him climbing down. Actually, I'm going to turn this for the last time. I hope I don't switch it off now. But look at his eyes. You can see the sunset in his eyes. Right there. He could still see the sunset where he was sitting, but we couldn't because we were too low. He was just a few meters higher up than us. And you can literally see almost the curvature of the earth there and the sun right in his eyes just there. I just thought that's really cool. Again, playing around with the motion. And with leopard you can get amazing patterns when they move. This was Brian. Again, we spent a lot of time in the vehicle together. Brian and the leopard. That's Tingana there in the background. Sunset. Beautiful experience. That's a lion eating a buffalo. You can see the nose just behind there. And that was that fantastic spot. Actually, VM, the cameraman that was on the vehicle with HD at the time, spotted them in the donga. Brilliant, brilliant spot. And this gave us some awesome buffalo and, well, awesome lion viewing, really, over the next couple of days. And this is also our first time to see the Nkuhuma Pride. I haven't seen them in years, and the first time for HD. It was a lot of great viewing. Got a number of drives out of it. That's Andrew. Andrew Corza is a very good friend of mine. And a guy that I've always said really should be making his money modeling. He's 6'3", he's got an 8-pack. 8-pack is like, it's better than a 6-pack. You know, you only get that with very athletic people. And just one of the nicest people I know, literally. He's the nicest, gentlest, most well-mannered guy ever. More lions. That's Andrew again. I think that's a great shot of Andrew. Such a good-looking guy. Yes, Alex, we've got a question. Hello, Christian. We've got a question there. This is Rafi the elephant. We named him on Rafi's birthday. One of the crew guys that were out, a fantastic guy, Raphael. Miss you. Hope we're going to spend time together again. Kristen just asking, what animal has stuck with me? And I presume you mean in memory, Kristen. Sure. Gorilla the leopard, definitely. This leopard we're looking at right here, because of this evening's experience, Djuma, definitely. Wonky the elephant, he's passed away now, but definitely a big part of my memory. There was a bull elephant called Piliki and a bull elephant called Kimberly in Pilanesberg that were very special. Hamub C was a big male lion that I knew there. Yeah, so many really. Guys, I just love this picture. It was shot in the dark. Now again, look at the shutter speed. We were speaking about it earlier. This is 1/80th there. So it's very, very slow. I was on 800 ISO, and it doesn't show the ISO here, but I remember it from the day. This was quite dark. And he was lying on his back, which is why you can see that white chest. Sorry. Got a wind picking up now as well. And he was just looking at us through the leaves, and I just love these pictures because he was very shy, and we spent some time with him. Kunyuma, by the way, means shy, the name of this leopard. And this is where we got to know each other. This is where I really, you know, as much of what people expect with leopard, and he's just a really good looking cat. He looks just like his father. I've played around a bit with taking pictures of myself when we get back just after the drives, because it's quite interesting what you feel like after a live experience. So that's what you saw just there. This is an owl we spotted. HT himself were looking for a location for this bush tent, and we found this great spot. It was our second choice. We still said we must make one there as well, because it was this beautiful spot right in a little clump of thickets of trees, and we spotted this Scops owl just peeking at us, perfectly camouflaged, while we were walking around. He never flew off. We walked to I was probably about 5 meters from him here at this stage, just looking at us. Beautiful little bird. It's about the size of your hand, just to give you an idea of the size. That tree trunk that he's sitting against is about the size or the thickness of a Scots bicep. A little bit bigger maybe. So it's not that big. Sorry, that sounded really funny. What I meant is, it is not a massive tree trunk that. It is the size of a man's arm, not the size of a man's leg, so to speak. To compare for you the size of that owl. It's one of the smallest owls you can see. In fact, they're not even called owls anymore. They now call them owlets. So Scops owlet. That was HT. While we're looking at the spot, beautiful spot. In fact, maybe he'll go show you at some stage what it looks like there. Ooh, I don't have a lot of time left though. Fish eagle taking off. I just like this view. Kudu running. Again, my panning shots. I do like that. Great when you get this movement in the shots. Kunyuma, bit of movement again. Shot at a 50th. You see there, 50th of a second at f5. Now again, without a beanbag, you wouldn't be able to get that shot. Look at the movement you're getting in the foot. Yes, Alex, another question. Again, movement shot. That's Kunyuma as well. Hey Donna, great question. The name Jigga, which is the vehicle I'm driving today, and my favorite vehicle ever. It is the nicest vehicle I've ever driven in the bush ever. Just let me make that clear. Have I made that clear? It's the best game drive vehicle I've ever driven ever in the bush. Thanks Graham and you guys for this amazing car. And the Jigga is the name for this vehicle. It's a 90-inch wheelbase Land Rover. I think it's a 98 or 99 model, and for about 2 years they made them with a 2.8 V6 or 6-cylinder engine made by BMW, and it's a brilliant engine. Petrol, lots of power, nice and quiet, and combined with the short wheelbase and the compact nature of this vehicle, it is maybe the best vehicle. Not maybe, I know enough about this to tell you that this is the best vehicle in the world for this area we are in at the moment. And been amazing to just drive around. I mean, just the driving experience. There you can see that's Zanele. That's the other vehicle that HT is driving most of the time. We do swap the vehicles around a little bit, but mainly he's on Zanele, and mainly I'm on Jigga. Jigga means to zigzag, to be able to twist and turn, and was actually a name that I gave this vehicle when we started using her, because it was such a mobile vehicle. So the Jigga is an extremely apt name to describe what we're driving. Zanele there with HT giving us a thumbs up, saying all's good. That was just after the first live birth of the wildebeest. That's the calf. That is VM, the wildebeest. That's the first one they spotted. Brilliant experience. Guys, I hope you're all taking screenshots of this, because I don't mind sharing pictures. And I'd love you to tag people in it as well. Go mad with this, by the way. Tag VM, tag HT, tag Andrew earlier, Ryan. Please help me, because I've had hardly any time to get onto Facebook and share this with friends. So if you guys can all help me and tag as many people as you can out of these images, I would love that. That's VM on the left, HT on the right, zebra running. That was just before the second wildebeest calf was born. I like this picture actually. That's Candace and Mike. And guys, please, big shout out to them. Those of you that are friends with them on Facebook, please tell them hello. I must still send them this picture. It's a beautiful picture of both of them. Candace just looking at the wildebeest birth as well. They were actually in bed staying at the lodge. I mean, they live at the lodge. They run Voyatella. And they were watching the drive with us over the net. And they saw this wildebeest being born. And Mike and Candace were like, oh, let's jump in the car. So they literally jumped out of bed, jumped in the vehicle, drove out, and came and saw this with us because they saw it via the broadcast. I mean, that's quite a cool story in itself. Candace and Mike. Hey! Yeah, I whistled at them. There's Mike. Mike knows more about the lion population in Sabi Sands, I dare say, maybe than anyone. He knows the cats, especially the lions, extremely well. He knows the park very well as well. He's been a great help for us in getting us maps and getting us mobile in the area. So guys, please, can we go out a little bit? Alex, just a little bit. Tiny bit. Guys, just a big thank you. No, that's perfect. Just a little bit closer again. Just want to give them a thumbs up. Thanks so much. There we go. Mike and Candace, you guys have been a huge help to us. A big thank you from myself, from the whole Wild Earth crew, and I'm sure all our friends out there are going to tag you and thank you on Facebook as well and get that out there. So Mike and Candace, thank you very much. You've been a huge help to us. This was Brian the wildebeest, just after birth. In fact, that's both of the wildebeest, Brian and VM. Cool. Shoot away with the questions, Alex. Brian, VM. Brian, VM. Beth in Boston is just asking. Beth, I was actually going to answer that, but I was hoping someone would ask. So thank you for asking the question. That's Brian again. This is, guys, minutes after birth. There's Craig again from Cheetah Plains. Great help to us. Just asking about Zanele. So I'll show you these just now. That's climbing up the mast. Let me just quickly find Zanele for you. It's always easier to talk about something when you're looking at it. There we go. Zanele, that's the vehicle. HT's Charge. We named her after the chef. We've got this brilliant chef, and I can talk the rest of the remaining time about her because she's just been the glue for this team. She's kept us all together in the sense that we're all very happy when we go down to eat. We've had fantastic food. Wild Earth, thank you very much for amazing food that you've given us. It does make a big difference if you eat well. And Zanele is the person just making great food, firstly. She really does have a talent, but just a great lady. Very friendly, very happy, big heart, big smile. And she really made everyone just always feel so happy and welcome when we went for dinner. And it's been a big part of this experience. So that's where the name came up. Zanele, it means enough or, satisfied, which is maybe a great name for a chef. So that's where the name Zanele comes from. Let's just find, that's Craig, wildebeest. Quick picture here. And I'll show you something personally as well. Graham shot this when we were busy fixing the mast. And this is at Arathusa. And I'll tell you about this some stage, but I've got to... where are we now? There we go. That's a poem that's tattooed on my arm that I will tell you about on the next experience, on the next live experience, not this one. When we go maybe back here or somewhere else, I'll tell you that poem. It's in Afrikaans, and it's for my wife and my 2 kids. Nice big roaring lion. This is the Matimba male. Sorry guys, I'm trying to keep my camera covered here from the rain. There we go. This is the Matimba male. And we were extremely lucky to see him roar in daylight. It's not something you get to see every day. And yeah, it's just great to see him. Yes, Alex, go with the questions if there are. That's yours. Yours, thank you very much for your great friendship and help. I hope this picture finds send it to you, but I hope friends, mutual friends. Alex, go, I'm listening. That's the little house on the... Okay, cool. Yes, we've got a question. Who's asking? Georgie Ann in Crestwood, Illinois. Okay, thank you, Alex. Georgie Ann, I'm going to show you Tingana just now, the male leopard, and I'll tell you what the name means. This is where we're sitting right now at this moment. This is, I prefer to call it the bush tent. It's also referred to as the little house on the prairie. I like all those names. Beautiful setting. This was shot one morning early. And next time around, I'd like to come stay here. I want to put my tent next to this and just live here for a week or two. And share that experience with you. Living in the bush in any way is special, but the closer you get to the ground, the more fun it is. I think we're almost at the end of this SD card. So there's another sunset and some more views of those beautiful little guys, the cubs of Thandi. That's Thandi, the mother, daughter of Karula, granddaughter of Safari. And that's her young one, so great-grandchildren of Safari and Mvula. Let me quickly find you. Oh, it might be a little while. Where is Thandi? Guys, just while we're looking at things, oh, there we go. There is Tingana. That's Tingana. And the name Tingana means shy, which we actually used to call it as an alternative name for Shadow as well, the sister of Thandi, the leopard we just looked at. But this male was called that. He was quite shy in the beginning when they started seeing him around here, but he quite quickly relaxed, became very used to things. Guys, just in case I mentioned it too late earlier, please feel free to tag these guys, use these pictures, go mad with it. I don't mind. I share, play with it. The more we play with it, the more fun we have. That's Ryan. Big thank you to you, Ryan. Great guy. Awesome help that we've had from you guys. That's Craig, Cheetah Plains. Thanks, Craig. It's been great fun chatting to you. You're always very happy, always very helpful. Here's Tingana again, leopard we're talking about. And I'm going to show you. That's Roy from Arathusa. I love that, right? Look in the corner there. Someone photographing it with their telephone. I've learned some things about telephones on this trip. I might have to change my brand just because of the images you can do with certain phones. I won't mention it now. Feel free to give me a shout if you want me to mention it live at some stage and talk to all the bosses and producers and directors and everything. But phones do great pictures, guys. Never forget that you can use any technology to take pictures. You don't have to have a $1,000, $2,000 US lens and thousands of dollars worth of equipment. In the end, capturing the moment can be done with the most basic of tools. As long as you can paint with light, as long as you can photograph, you can do it. I'm going to show you this picture again of Tingana. Actually, you know what? This is actually a great picture of Tingana. Guys, look at the shutter speed. I keep mentioning bean bags, but if I can give you one tip other than... Now, I've got a few tips. Maybe I should eventually do a little top 5 tips for photography. The first rule of photography for me is, you know this, many of you, it's very simple. Take pictures. Because without taking pictures, you're not going to have any. And without taking pictures, you're not going to learn how to take better pictures. So first rule of photography, take pictures. And then there's a few other rules. It won't be the second rule, but in the top 10, definitely, if you go on safari, take a bean bag. Take the bag with. Don't worry about the beans. They weigh 1 or 2, 3 kilograms. Rather pack some extra clothes or a good book to read. And then take a bean bag. Buy the beans when you're there. Go to a shop. Go to the local shops. It's nice to go to local shops when you're in Africa. Meet some people. Chat to them. Immerse yourself in the cultures as well. And the great way to do that is to go to the, the feeding ground, the shop. And why I say that is this picture was shot. Let me first show you the picture. On a fairly basic, I'm shooting with a 75-300 basic lens, nothing too fancy. Okay, so that's the image. Look at the shutter speed. The shutter speed would be up in the top left-hand corner. Now, as I said, it's cropped out because of this screen cover I've got, but that's a 30th. 1/30th of a second. It is impossible to shoot that image on a long lens, that crisp, at that shutter speed if you don't have a beanbag. Simple. So please don't forget that on your safari. It'll make all the difference to you when you get back home and look at your pictures. I'm going to show this picture again. I did show it earlier, but I do like this picture a lot. The sunset in his eyes. Tingana, the shy leopard, not shy anymore. He got used to vehicles quite quickly. It's a funny thing if you think of how shy a leopard can be and how easily and how quickly they do get habituated. I've drawn parallels to myself and leopard a few times in that respect. I'm actually inherently an introverted person, believe it or not. You're probably chuckling right now. But when I was younger, I soon learned that, you know what, to be shy your whole life is going to get you nowhere. And maybe that's the same for leopard. You know, they learn that they just need to get on with what they're doing, and in doing so, they do what they do, and we get to see them. There's no point in being shy. Just learn how to deal with it. Learn the behavior around it. Alex, if you maybe just want to go out a little bit, I'm going to just change my SD card because earlier we went off for a drive. Yes, Alex, go along. Where did I put that card, actually? This is not very good. I'm normally more organized than this. But I don't normally talk about photographs on my camera with friends and new people from around the world. Ah, there it is. Whoa, Lorraine, that's a big question. Lorraine from Michigan, hello, nice to have you in the vehicle. Asking, what moment in the bush has had the biggest impact on me? That's, whoa. The first one, when I was 3.5 years old, something like that, and I was camping in the bush with my father, and we saw lions in the moonlight. A little dog that woke me up, and that's what made me see it. You know, that was pretty big. Many since then. I've had some incredible experiences. The first ones that come to mind, I'll run through that. I'm not going to discuss them because then it'll take too long. The first one that came to mind was my first lion charge on foot. It was a great friend of mine, Steve Bailey, Chikudu Lodge in the Pilansberg on this beautiful, we called it mini Serengeti, the area around it. And we had 3 male lions, and one of them turned around and he charged us. And we were looking to gain experience. We didn't have guests with us. We were just walking along. And let me just put it this way. Nothing brings things into focus as much as a big male lion running at you full speed. It just makes everything so crisp and so clear. And it slows down. You can see dust fly and sand land. You can feel the leaves. And we were standing in this patch of blue flowers, bluebells. I could feel the flowers under my feet. I could hear everything. It is, whoa, that had a big impact. The same with other lion charges, but the first one is always the great one. Elephant experiences, again on foot, you know, those very real time when things are running at you are spectacular. But also just gentle moments. Elephants that came and stood next to you and that rumbled and spoke to their babies around you, and you're right in the middle of a herd. I had an experience once with my grandmother. She was at the stage, she was about 75, 78, she's now 95, and she'd grown up being very wary or afraid of elephants like many people are. And at age 75, 78, maybe, let me think, she's 95 now, it would have been, I was 20, 17 years ago, yeah, she was 78 maybe, 77, 78, so an old lady. Very fit. My grandmother is quite spectacular. But we sat in this herd, and there were 2 game drive vehicles that left because they thought, this is not going to be good. And we just sat, and they came right around us, and I mean right around us. In Pilansberg, I really knew the elephants, so it was just such an experience to sit there and share this with my grandmother. So that was amazing. People. Some of the most amazing memories that I have of being in the bush are the people I've met. This time around, Alex, to get to know you again, and all the guys around, HT, you know, I don't even need to say that, HT, we've forged a great friendship in this short time. The people you meet, I've had guests along the way, the Russian guy I told you about, Sergei Yastremensky. How do you say his name? Jestrzemski. Sergei Jestrzemensky was one of the coolest guys I ever met. I've just met some really interesting people along the way, and people that you share something with. You share wildlife with them, but you share an emotional experience, and not just emotional. And this is where I wish English was my first language, because there's so many more words to describe that. You share something very real, something that you share not just in your mind, you share it in your heart, you share it in your feelings, and you share it in life. And this is such a great place to do it. And nowhere have I experienced that more in not even near the same massiveness or enormity is the better word than I have right here talking to you guys. So that's been amazing. Crying the other day when my daughter said hello to me, that I'll never forget. That was insane. So lots of things going on. Yes, Alex? Awesome. Cool. Guys, I'm going to talk a little bit more, but HT is getting ready. The rain is just, well, we'll see how they go, because we can still hear it on the roof where we're sitting. Speaking of which, Alex, let me just do this for a bit. I think the water is collected there. Let's show you guys what the bush tent works like. So this is the bush tent. Very simple design. We've used 2 trees. We've got a roof to create the apex. And that's just a strong climbing rope. And then we've just put guy ropes. We chopped a few homemade, branches in the bush. But it does sometimes collect a bit of water. I think, I can't reach there. Give me a second. We need to get that water off. Actually, it's getting a bit heavy. There we go. Now the roof tent is good again. So just a basic tarp cover. Works brilliantly. Keeps us dry enough to do this with you while we're sitting here. And guys, I'm not sure exactly how quickly, because now it's actually picking up a little bit, but HT is going to do his best. As soon as it's dry enough to go, he is going to you get out there and go show you around a little bit. I think those ellies might be heading down to the water, but debar them. So yes, that's what the plan is. I'm just going to quickly find where we are. So guys, and sorry, I almost, sometimes you feel a bit, there's so many stories to tell. I mean, I had a black rhino experience. A black rhino, HT loves black rhino. It is the closest I've ever been, let me just think, other than when animals have actually touched me, but that's in a very different scenario. But in a, call it a dangerous situation. I mean, dangerous is such a strange word for this. I mean, an interactive experience. Maybe that's what we should call it. When you and an animal interact in a very real, very on-point manner. I had an experience with a black rhino where, long story short, I ended up running in front of it, or it was running behind me, and that was sort of the interaction at the time. And it was very close, so close that I could feel the sand hitting my legs. And you walk away from an experience like that, and apart from the fact that you feel amazing, I mean, it's a bit like being live, you just have this, all these chemicals are going around your body, the endorphins and everything. It's an incredible experience. But experiences like that does bring you closer to those things around you. It makes you look at that animal, or that animal species, in a new light down the line. There's just millions of stories. Really good question. What things can you remember? Which things impacted you in the bush? Sunrises, sunsets. I've had some great cups of coffee in various places. Here at Voitela Lodge, Chikuda Lodge, where I used to work. Chikuda had this incredible view, one of the greatest views I've seen of any lodge in Africa ever. And standing there and drinking a cup of coffee. I'm going to mention someone, Robert Carr Hartley. For those of you that may be on Facebook with Robert Carr Hartley, please tell him Peter Pretorius says thank you so much. He was the first guide trainer, not trainer, like a guru could be a word, but he was the first guy that gave me a little bit of guide training. I was 18 years old. I went to Kenya to travel through some friends of my dad, and ended up there with Kathy Porter, a great lady. Lived up in Limuru, I think, up in the mountains, in these tea plantations. Insane place. Old school Kenyan house. Big walls are built from stone blocks. And she connected me with some of her friends at the Mafega Country Club. I love East Africa, by the way. Maybe we should, let's go to East Africa. That would be nice. And I met Robert, actually Johnny Baxendale at first. Johnny Baxendale lived with George Adamson in the Lions. Elsa the Lion, Born Free. You'll see some of the old pictures of this tall blonde guy walking with his lions. That's Johnny Baxendale. So I got to meet him later on. He was in his 60s then. And we went to stay at his house just outside Nairobi. And when we got there, we talked. He was a nice guy, really nice guy, very friendly guy. And he said, do you know much about rifles? And I said, yeah, 1 or 2 things. I grew up shooting a bit. My father loves rifles. I do as well. And he said, clean this for me. And it was a 4.58 side by side. Classic African hunting rifle and exploration rifle. And beautiful piece, Holland to Holland. I mean, it's like a piece of art. And the stock had been fixed. He showed me. He said, yeah, the stock has been fixed. They put new wood in that his grandfather had stuck in the lion's mouth when he was on top of him. And he gave me this to clean. He said, go clean this for me. And that was quite cool, actually, thinking back to that. Phew, I haven't thought about these things for a while. And I ended up with him. They had a company together, 6 guys. Johnny Baxendale, Peter Sylvester, great guy. John and Tony Dyer. John and Robert Carr Hartley. And I forgot the other 2 guys' names. They had 2 other partners as well, who I met, but we didn't deal with each other that much. But John and Robert ended up taking me along on their experiences, and Robert specifically. Robert Carr Hartley then took me to Burana Lodge, which is in the foothills of Mount Kenya. belongs to the Dyer family. Spectacular place. I mean, mind-blowingly spectacular lodge. Very high end. And an amazing setting. And I met some great people there. Larry Murphy. Guys, if any of you know Larry Murphy, or Larry Murphy used to be with Disney. He was the vice president there. Fantastic guy. I stayed with him in LA. Just met some great people there. And Robert was the first guy that showed me how to use a high lift jack. He was the first guy. They had Range Rovers for their game drive vehicles. They had these beautiful green Range Rovers. And he showed me how you can roll a vehicle through potholes if you're driving fast cross country. Because of the coil suspension, if you see the pothole coming, all you do is you shift the weight of the vehicle slightly to one side. You have to be traveling at about 80 or something. You shift the vehicle, and as you go across the pothole, the majority of the vehicle's weight sits on this side, and that side just skims across it. So you're talking some great driving lessons. I love driving, by the way. And just great experience. We saw these incredible two leopards mating while on a walk. We were sitting on a place called Frog Rock, looking over the Samburu country area, and these two leopards were mating on a rock about 30 meters below us, unaware of us. Went to the Mara Triangle with them, saw spectacular things. Lions, elephants camped in these beautiful camps. So Robert had a big impact on me in terms of out in the bush, out in safari. Gus van Dijk, Benne de Klerk, all these guys, all these men of men that I met along the way. Let's look at some pictures. Great question, by the way. You could have had me talking there for 3 hours just about the times I've had in the bush. Whoa, Arlene, great question, out of Connecticut. I made some good friends out of Connecticut when I was playing tennis in Hilton Head Island. What animal would I like to see that I've never seen before? Well, how much time have we got? Guys, I would love to see so many things. At the top of that list, I'm actually getting a bit cold here. At the top of that list, maybe, it's tough. Polar bear. Polar bear would be amazing. I'd love to see polar bear. I would love to see grizzly bear during the salmon migration up the rivers. I think that would be an incredible event to see. Guys, and keep in mind, I would love to do all this live. If I could choose one way to do it, I would like to do a few things with my family on my own, and that would be going to beautiful islands and sitting on the beach and seeing dolphins and those kind of things. But ultimately, I'd love to do all of this live. I'd take my kids and my wife along and let them show you their experience as well. But if I had to list it in order, probably gorillas. Gorillas would have to be first. And gorilla specifically, I'd like to go and see with HT. He's seen them a lot of times. He's had some amazing experiences. I would really, really like to do that. And for that matter, Scott as well. Scott has done some great things with chimps. He showed me, Scott, those pictures of yours, if you're watching at the moment, insane pictures that you took up when you were up in that area. So gorillas, polar bears, tigers. Whew. Maybe just turn those two around like that. There we go. Yeah. So gorillas, tigers. I need to cut my nails. I apologize. Polar bears, grizzly bears, Amur leopard, Amur and snow leopard. Wow. Now that would have to be on its own somewhere. If I could cut this finger off, no, I'm not going to take my knife out. But if I could put this finger sort of on its own little pedestal up here, that would be an Amur leopard or snow leopards. Either of those two, both would be great. Wolves, I've said that already. Yeah, those would be the first big animals that came to mind. I would love to go see the penguins on Antarctica. And that brings me maybe to the point that, for me in the end, seeing the wildlife is great. Seeing a leopard, I mean, we could sit here now, imagine this. I mean, this could happen. We've got 14 minutes almost to the second left for this drive. A leopard could just walk past you now. It happened. It happened the other night while we were sitting here with the fire. The leopard was sitting in the tree there. So it's about the landscape. It's about the wilderness. It's about seeing places like this. It's about being in them. It's about being part of it. So Antarctica, definitely one of the last wildernesses. Alaska, you know what I would like to do in Alaska? You get a free roaming license there where you can live off the land and go live there. I would love to take a couple of mules, a mule train, a couple of good friends, HT, Scott, obviously, Mark, you guys pull in. A couple of horses, I'd like to carry a 6-gun for that trip. Just like a cowboy and go travel in Alaska for 2 or 3 months. That would be insane. Go explore that wilderness. Go feel. Go become part of that wilderness. Obviously, take you guys along because, you know, as I said earlier, this in many ways is more real than just doing it on your own because it's shared and it's remembered. Alex, what's that area way up northeastern Russia? The Yucatan? Kamchatka. How do you say it in Russian? Kamchatka. I want to go to Kamchatka. You know, I want a helicopter in there with a big military helicopter. That's how you get in there. And make sure the guys bring you out, hopefully. You've got connections, huh? Alright. Sorry, Alex, say that again. Alex, just say that again, please. Not Alex Russian, Alex English. Let him walk up. HD. Yes, great. Awesome. I look forward to that. You know what? I've really wanted to do this. That's awesome. It's a big thing for me just being out in the space, and that's what we're talking about now, is to see these places. A big part of the experience really is to, what's the word? I'm lacking it now. To immerse yourself, to drown yourself in your surroundings, is to really just become part of it, accept it as being an extension of your own being, and to do that is amazing. And to do that with taking people along on that journey and to help them experience that it's incredible. It really is incredible. That's why I think I get so emotional sometimes, because there's this enormous amount of emotion that I experience, and it's joy, it's good stuff that I experience in doing this. And why I'm talking about it is I'm going to talk a little bit more about that great question that we just had. Now, I apologize, I just forgot your name. I know it was from Michigan. The question about, you know, things that you remember. Alex, if you can help me with the name, please, that'll be great. One of the things for me is to see humans doing this. Now, we look at a leopard walking through the bush. We look at lions and elephants. But in the end, we're no different. Lorraine, thank you, Alex. Lorraine from Michigan. That was a great question. It really got us going. Maybe, if need be, I'd love to answer that question again this afternoon as well, because it's such a great topic to talk about what influences us. What's influence? Let me get some guys, if you don't mind. You know, we're on the internet this morning. We're not on TV at the moment, which is why it's a bit lighter as well, and freer. And trust me, freedom is what this is all about for me. Let us know what moments in nature has changed your life. I'd be very curious to know how many of those moments might have been while you're doing this with us. So just flood Alex. Let's see if we can close this computer down. You know, all systems down. Too much information coming back to us in Africa. Just send him some emails. Let us know the same questions I just had. What moments in nature you can remember? What animals would you like to see? And what places would you like us to go to? And what would you like us to show you? Let us know. But guys, lots. If we could get like 1 million emails, and we could send those 1 million emails onto the powers that be, you know, that really gives them a very easy way to motivate the people that be, the powers and all those kind of things, for us to come and do this. So let's get some ideas from you. You know, what has inspired you in the last years, for those of you that have been with us years, in the last weeks, for those of you that are maybe new on this? Why have you enjoyed this experience? Guys, look at that. Look at that. Just there, in the mist, in the rain. Alex, quickly, I don't think it's going to go away, but let's just see. There, going there. Just behind the termite mound almost. It's one of the most interesting wild animals out there. It's a human. And you know what's great about this species is we speak each other's language. I can ask it questions, it can talk back to me. It can experience things in a similar way. We can have the same frame of reference. We can share memories. We can talk about things we've seen in the past. We can dream about things we're going to see in the future. We can be excited about things like family or about looking at great sunsets. We can laugh together. We can cry together. This is truly, for me, the most interesting wild animal out there to see, because I am one too. And the level of sharing we can do is phenomenal. And you know what? This morning's drive was a good one. Because you can't plan these things. You can't plan the rain. You can't plan what you're going to see. You can just experience it. And when it happens like that, when fortune happens and it brings you things, and you can just roll with it, it is great. Guys, this is Hayden Turner. Let me give you a quick background. Good friend now, very good friend. He's traveled to over 50 countries in the world. He's lived with wild tribes, he's hunted with them. He was a zookeeper back in the day, ended up in Africa because of black rhino, one of the greatest animals there are out to experience there. He's one of the nicest guys I've met in my life, and I honestly mean this. He's got a great heart, he's got a great smile, loves his family, loves his friends. I trust his loyalty beyond anything in the world. I trust his integrity beyond anything. And my great pleasure to introduce my great friend Hayden Turner, that came over to say goodbye with us in time for 7 minutes worth of chatting. So
7 minutes worth of chatting.
Yeah.
I've overstepped. I've gone to get out
Wait,
of the
you're going to
rain.
have to come and join me, otherwise I can't hear you.
I'll stay down here, it's fine. It's... No.
You're good there.
Stay there, mate.
Can you hear him all right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll project, mate.
Cool.
Hi, guys. I just wanted to come up and say farewell, and Pete's been having a fantastic chat with you. We got stuck. I just got to tell you a little bit about this structure. This has been Pete's baby right from the beginning, and this thing, when it first went up, everyone was like, oh, we'll never probably use it that much, you know. And I tell you what, today is one of those classic examples of Pete's forethought, or looking into the future for these little times when the rain is actually, it's not too bad. It's a little bit of a wind gust where it comes underneath, but it's falling quite soft like mist, but it's just too much for the camera equipment and the technology on the vehicles. But I'll tell you what, mate, your little house here has definitely come into fruition, mate, that's for sure, hey?
Yeah, it's worked, huh? So I'm just taking one or two pictures of you while we're doing this, if you don't mind.
And we got stuck up at one of the gates. I had to run for cover, right? Wasn't even anywhere near, and as I was driving along the road saying, Pete must be getting the rain a little bit heavier where he is, about 10 seconds after that, sure enough, it came down and we had to scoot for cover, and it was pretty incredible. We sat up at one of the main gates of Sabi Sands there we just had to sit there basically, and then when it got a little bit lighter we made a run for cover. I'm a little bit damp. You look nice and dry here, sir.
I am. I got a bit. We had to drive. Actually, I'll show you the picture later. We put a raincoat and a hat on the camera to keep it dry enough, and we ran up here. I got a bit wet, so I'm a little bit cool.
Yeah.
But you know these things, bro.
Absolutely.
Kikois, sarongs, whatever you want to call them. East Africa, you get the big ones, the best ones. They're so handy in so many ways.
No, it's great. But I just sort of caught a little bit of what Pete was talking about and going through some photographs. I think that's a really lovely thing that we've all got our own little sort of things that we do. I love my gadgets, I love my little bit of technology and my apps and everything. Pete bringing his camera up, and Scott and Mark have got their own little ways about them, and I think that's really beautiful, the individuality with different people and how they interpret the bush and what they do. So it's Pete taking mad photos. Pete actually, if down 1,000 years, Pete will probably have a camera surgically attached, or
to my eye.
To his hand. But yeah, it's a bit damp out there, but a really lovely chance to chat. And I think I just sort of mentioned right at the beginning when you were getting Jigger all sorted out this morning that really we wanted to do this morning drive as well, and Scott and Mark were really generous and kind in letting us do that. But just to say farewell to all the online people, and it was a great opportunity to do that.
It's a bit more fun as well, the morning ones, eh? I mean, you can feel it. It's a bit like the Jigger and Zanelli. You know, Zanelli, the engine's better, the suspension's better, but the Jigger rolls easier. The drive's like that a bit when it's like, guys, we've got 3.5 minutes left about, so very short time. H, I want to ask you a quick question because I'm not sure if I'm going to have the opportunity, or to be honest, the freedom to do this later on. I'm just kidding, guys. The freedom of this is what it's all about. And it's a very unfair question, and it's not a curveball, don't worry. Or maybe I throw curveballs every now and again. He's a great batsman, though, you know. You can handle anything. Babe Ruth, you know. But and it's very unfair because we've got very little time left.
Okay.
So I might
I'll make it
ask
brief.
this again around the fire tonight.
Sure.
Can you give us, and this is so unfair, I'm so sorry, in about 3 minutes or so,
60 seconds.
60 seconds, a brief, there's a beautiful English word for it. Tell us what this has been like for you.
Okay.
This live experience. I was coming
Okay.
to Africa knowing what we expect, but knowing not what we expect. What has this been like for you?
Okay. 60 seconds. Can you time me,
I
please,
will.
Alex?
Yes.
Okay, right. So,
Go.
I think if I go back in time to the beginning of this, when I was, I've done a bit of this in my time. I've been very fortunate to work for National Geographic and make documentaries for them for many years. And I met Pete, and he said to me, mate, you've been to all these different countries, and you've done all these incredible experiences. I'm not sure if this is going to be like anything you've ever done before. And he said to me, mate, when that goes live, it is a completely different experience. And I have to tell you, that line that Pete gave me right in that very first week encapsulates it everything, encapsulates that perfectly. And it is like nothing I've ever done before. It is the most fantastic experience to know that we are talking to you live from the African bush. Pete's been doing it for years, but for me, I feel like I've been reborn in it. It sounds a little bit cheesy, I know, but I feel it feels like television for me. We are standing right at the cliff edge of what is potentially in the future for wildlife television. So that's sort of what it is for me. And Pete, your line that time, it's nothing quite like you've ever done before. I will never forget. So there you go. Hopefully that was 60 seconds.
That was just over 10 seconds more.
Ooh.
Perfect. And sorry, I was listening. I did what Brad did the other day. I was listening as opposed to, looking at the content. And guys, we're almost out of time, and I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to quote him, because this is his baby from day.com. Actually, from day.com, when this happened with Graham Wallington. This has been what it's all been about. And I want to try and get the timing right. I might be a little bit early, but I don't want to let this slip away, because Graham Wallington has said this to me for a long time. What we are doing here, Wild Earth, is like nothing else. And the more I think about it, and the more I immerse myself into this environment, the more I lose myself in this space, and I don't mind doing so because it's an awesome space, the more I realize that is exactly what it is. This is like nothing else. And a big thank you to Graham Wallington. I was thanking a few people today just looking at the pictures, but Graham Wallington, friend, mate, buddy, this rocks. Thank you very much. And I can't wait for the afternoon drives. We've got about 25 seconds left. Guys, it's the last ride to TV this afternoon. I promise you, crazy things are going to happen just because they do, even if I just have to do something just to get it out there, HT.
See you guys. See you this afternoon. Really can't wait. And thank you very much for everything. We heartfelt thank you to everyone.
See you later.